We're live. Hello. Oh, there's 3 people in the fucking thing. You know, when I drop a video, it's very strange. When I drop a video on YouTube, which is fairly rare these days, as soon as it drops, it says in the corner, like it does here, which you guys can't see, but I can see it. It says 3 views. And I have no idea. That must be like the FBI, the CIA, and MI6. I don't know who's watching the fucking video literally the second it drops. I have no idea. But there's 3 it says right here, eyeball emoji 3. It's Gilsta! Darth Wizzy Wiz! Hello, my friends. I posted the link in the MLA chat and in the Rebels chat. I'm taking a page out of Happy Birthday, Rum. I'm taking a page out of the Rum Diaries. 9 a.m. Oh my God. I just got a text. I got to be somewhere at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I'm going to try not to stay on for 5 hours. I saw that, Gilster. Thank you very much. I'm going to try not to stay on for 5 hours tonight. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. We just got off of a lovely 2-hour stream with Brett at Cool to Know, formerly Collecting with Cool, formerly the artist. I don't know. Fucking, that motherfucker changes his names like the fucking wind. I don't know what it is. Rolando. Ay! The Mexican Bandito. I hope you're doing well, Rolando. I'm still waiting for you to send me that toe that they amputated so I can make you something cool out of the bone. I don't know. I hope that doesn't offend you. I've had quite a bit of scotch, and I just did a 2-hour stream with Brett, and he's using some new, not StreamYard. I'm on StreamYard. I think you can see the duck over here, maybe. He's using something new that apparently cuts you off after 2 hours, and he was like, "You should try that, Lack." And I was like, "Fucking Lack can't do 2 5. I'm just getting fucking started, baby. Yeah, we are drinking. Go check out Brett's channel because you can see me drink like half of this fucking bottle of Glenlivet. Magnificent Kaboom! Hey, good to see you, young man. I hope you're doing well. Magnificent Kaboom, Mary, Rolando, Gilster, Darth Wizzy Wiz. I'm sure. Oh, I have Gilster and I have Rolando. If you're not subscribed to, drop everyone's links, you guys. If you are able to. Darth Wizzy Wiz, I need to catch up on some of your videos, my friend. I've had the Cubs like the last a little bit over a week, which was great. I've not been on YouTube. I've not been dropping videos regularly because I don't know, man. It's just, there was I'm not going to say shit went down, but like, man, there was like some sort of, I guess it was static. I'm not going to say, like it was no static on my end, it's not static on my end, but like, man, like a few weeks, like a month ago or so, there was like some static I caught from somebody who like I considered to be like a real friend. And I've just been really fucking like not interested in fucking, I don't know. Like I just fucking, what? Your videos are catastrophic? No, your videos are fun. Your videos are fun. You know why? Because they're not fucking edited and they're not fucking pre-rehearsed. They're just a man showing you shit that he's genuinely interested in. And like that is fucking, that appeals to Lack. Truth and honesty, which is I guess the same fucking thing. Anyway, being real is what attracts me to people, and I only have 350 subscribers, but I'd like to think that that is what probably attracts them too, right? Because like this is not a fucking sellout channel. Every fucking episode I do is not, hey, look at this fucking shit. And it's certainly not, hey, look how much money I fucking spent. Because I see a lot of channels out there that it's basically just like, man, if you're gonna be a fucking YouTube channel about these kind of collectibles, you need to have a fucking lot of money because you have to buy every new fucking thing as soon as it comes out, right? The race is to like be the first one to review it, and but you know what? That's just like for people who have no personality, I think. I mean, and I'm not trying to disparage or fucking cast down on anybody. It's just the fucking way it is, man. It's not a top shelf, magnificent kaboom. Yeah, it's expensive. And when you start fucking buying shit that you don't need, hey, only Vader's girl. Hey, Kat, good to see you. I had a wonderful time in the chat of the last live stream of yours that I was able to attend. I'm sure everyone here, if they're up late enough, I'm sure everybody here goes and enjoys Cat. That's a wonderful stream, community-driven, camaraderie, friendship-driven stream, and it's a damn delight to be there. It's just, you know, Kat is a fucking real person. She's usually flanked by Mr. Reed, our friend Michael Reed, who is fucking true fucking dude. You know, so like, what a fucking Kat. I'm not always awake that late. I'm not always awake that late, and some, you know, in my mat, like my mask is not adjusted correctly to come on, but like, Kat has a great fucking stream. Rolando used to be a very what do you call it? A very fuck. I've drank. You have to go back to Brett's stream and see where this bottle was laying, but Lex had about this much. So we're having a good time. Hey, Brett, good to see you. I did drop the link in the. Excuse me. I dropped the link in the MLA chat on Instagram and in the Rebels chat. So if you're in those, by all means, hop on. Brett, that was a fun stream. Super fun stream. Cool to know. Collecting with Cool. The artist formerly known as Cool. Brett, the champion of hand jobs. Whatever name you're going by. Whatever name you're going by these days. So, do I have a reason to fucking be live streaming? No, I just didn't want to waste my buzz, you guys. We're just fucking hanging out. We're running low on Copenhagen. We have this much booze left, which we should probably kill. We are drinking Glenlivet 14 single malt. I think this goes for, you know, this is like 60 to 75 bucks a bottle. Awesome shit. Definitely recommend it. It's one of your, I would say, you know, it's like a lower end scotch, you know, but for single malt, it's not bad. And 14 is pretty good. There's a 12, which there's two 14s, okay? And I think it has to do with the type of barrel that it's in, because the 114 is like the one type of 14-year-old single malt is in like the $70 range. And then there's another one that immediately goes up to fucking like over 100. And that one is better. That one is much smoother. It does have a slightly lower alcohol content. This is 80 proof, so it's nothing to... David! Good to see you, David. Sorry I've been missing some of your streams lately. I've had my cubs and I've been kind of busy. Everyone go subscribe to David. He hit the 1,000 subscriber mark not too long ago and climbing. David is a cool guy. God bless you, my friend. And I hope you're doing well as well. David, I have to admit, I have been partaking in a bit of the drink, my friend. David, do you want to know something that's so like I was raised Catholic and like I don't know if I practiced, but so like I went to a funeral not long ago. It was a Catholic funeral. Haven't been to a mass in quite a while, but we came to the oh my god, I'm a little bit messed up. We came to the holy shit, I can't think of the word for it now. What? Can yeah, yeah. Y'all are talking amongst yourselves over here on the chat, right? So anyway, we came to the communion, and like was raised Catholic, and it was like my auntie's funeral, and I went to take communion, and there was no wine, and I came back to my seat, and I was like, did COVID fucking kill the wine at communion? Like, and like I'm not like a huge like I'm not all like I'm not going to preach at people or anything like that, but I thought, man, like 2,000 years of religious ceremony was fucking nixed by COVID because I guess nobody drinks the wine anymore, because they're worried about germs and shit. And I just thought, like you're not taking the communion if you're not taking the communion if you don't do the wine. Like there's a whole speech about the blood and body of Christ, and like they don't even like they should have the wine. And if you're too fucking scared to fucking drink it, then fucking don't. That's fine. But like, dude, like you are not doing it now. I don't know. Like I'm a traditionalist. I'm saying this from like an old school, and like, man, 2,000 years of fucking religion was just fucking like, well, we don't do the fucking communion anymore. I just thought it was kind of fucked up, you guys. It did not sit right with me. You drunk the wine at home. Yeah. Well, I'm drinking the Glenlivet single malt. Whew. I had quite a bit of this on, I have somewhere to be at 9 a.m. too. I was just fucking told in a text, so I'll have to get up early and shave my tongue. Let me get my Copenhagen all stuffed down in there good. Woo! Indians. Does anybody know what movie's that? Any movie? Does anybody know what movie that's from? I'm sure you do. Anyway, the link is in the MLA chat. It's in the oh, and Gilster. I sent it to Gilster. Gilster, if you're on, or if anybody's in the MLA chat, if you want to forward that link to Darth Wizzy Wiz or Cat, or even in the if you want to put it in the Gilster, if you want to put that StreamYard link in the Weird Fantastic Toy Adventure Bill chat, that's cool. I'm gonna try not to be on here for 5 hours. I told my wife, I said, hey, look, I got a good buzz going on. It's Friday night. I think I'm going to go live. And I said, but I don't have to. If you want to watch TV, it's totally cool. And she said, no, that's fine. But there was kind of a little bit of a tone on it. Gilster, I know that you sent the link to the stream. But if you want to send the StreamYard link to come on the screen that I sent you into Bill's, that's cool. But anyway, so my wife, I was like, da-da-da-da-da, and she said, no, that's fine. But now I'm kind of realizing that she kind of might have said, no, that's fine, which I'm like, oh, that kind of means it's never fine. Fine never means fine. Well, you know what, Kat, and I know I'm on my third or fourth wife, and whatever, I've been around the horn, and men use the word fine, and fine doesn't mean fine but it doesn't necessarily mean don't fucking do it. You know what I mean? Doesn't necessarily fucking mean that. So whatever. But hey, since the beginning of time, we've been, men and women have been getting along, and we've been fucking making babies, and that's why we're all here. So like, what the fuck is the difference now? Hold on, Cat. But to be fair, I'll say. Oh yeah, no, I get that. I've been around. I the only one I ever lost that was worth a shit is the one that I'm with now. I've lost some other ones, but in retrospect, it was for the better. Zazel, the Lack Attack. Yes, I'm here. Good to see you, young man. I hope you're doing well. Down under. We're not here for any particular reason. Lack has abandoned all ambitions of having a YouTube channel that makes any fucking sense. So we're just fucking bullshitting. And Gilster, if you still have that StreamYard link, send it to Zazel, because I don't know how to do all that in the fucking thing. Yes, good to see you, young man. That's what they say where I'm from. That's like you only call somebody an old timer if they're really fucking old. And the one thing I've noticed living down here in the South of America, see where I'm from in Alaska, if you call somebody an old timer, it really is a sign of respect. Like old timer is like, oh, you've been hurt. Oh, David says he's been hurting in his back and chest. Well, get well, man. I hope you're all right. Hold on. How do I do this? Gilster, how am I supposed to add you to the thing here? Gilster, it says, Gilster, you need to turn your camera on. It says ban from studio, kick from studio. It doesn't say bring you on. What's going on here? Try that again, Gilly. Try that again, Gilly. Old timer, that's something you'll never be if we don't get back to the city. I've had almost half of this bottle, so if anybody says anything and I don't get it, just blame it on that. Let's try Gilster is in the back, but I'm not sure, it's not letting me add you, Gilster. So leave and try to come back again. I don't know what's going on. It usually says add to whatever, but it doesn't say that. So look, I'm going to kick you out. I'm going to kick you out, but come back and turn your camera on. I don't know what's going on, Gilster. Me and Gilster had a good chat last night for fucking like 2 hours. What is this? Oh, I got a little drunk on my fucking face there. Sorry. Yeah, old timer is a word of endearment where I'm from in Alaska. And down here in the South of America, if you say old timer, even though it's somebody who's like 80 fucking 6 years old, they're like, what? I'm like, in Alaska, and I would think Australia, Zazel, is the same kind of a way, kind of, but like in Alaska, we have a term called sourdough, and a sourdough is somebody who fucking knows what the fuck they're doing. And then we have a term called chichaco, which is a newbie, right? And so sourdough kind of goes along with that idea of old timer goes along with that idea of sourdough. That means you fucking been around, it's somebody you can fucking trust. And it's messing with you, Gilster. Yeah, I don't know. It usually says add this motherfucker to the ship. Well, yeah, we're just fucking around. We went from 11 to 9 real quick. So whoever didn't like what was going on, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out, I guess. I don't know what to fucking tell you. I had a comment. So I did a short video for Rum's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Bob and Salacious Rum. Can we get a mod that knows what they're doing? David's been watching a Christmas movie. Which Christmas movie have you been watching, David? So I got a comment on Rum's video from somebody that I don't. Right, it's very rare that I get comments from people who are not in our community, who we're like not friends with. If they're, it's very rare to get a comment from somebody who you don't know. At least for me, right? And I got a comment from somebody I don't know, and they said, "Hey, I've watched one of your videos like a year ago. I've been watching everything that you've been doing, and I never know what to expect." And I took it as a compliment. Let's see what Zazel says real quick. In Australia, if you point to someone and say there's old mate, chances are they aren't old or your mate. Oh, really? Huh. That's crazy. Yeah, see, in Alaska, it's almost different. Like if you say, you would say like, yeah, old timer is a fucking term of endearment where I'm from. They say, "Hey, old timer." It's still doing the same thing, Gilster. I don't understand. It still says the same thing. Something's wrong with your. Because it just tells me, it says edit name, kick from studio, ban from studio. So I don't know. I don't know, Gilster. Unless this is some Arthur's Perfect Christmas movie. I don't know if I've seen that, David. Arthur. The only Arthur I remember is the British guy. What was his name? Arthur Moore? Was that his name? No, the actor's name was something else Moore, but he always played Arthur. I don't think I know that one. What is everyone's favorite Christmas movie? Does anybody have a favorite Christmas movie? I would have to say mine might be Donovan's Reef. We will not no, we will accept Die Hard, I guess. A lot of people say Die Hard because they think it's fucking cute, and I guess it's cute. Whatever. It's always fun to. Hey, let's do an Orson Welles thing where the camera's fucking off kilter. How about that? A little Orson Welles for you. I feel like the camera needs to be lower. I should be like up here a little bit more, but I could sit back. No, we're not doing anything special. We're just fucking around. We're gonna spit this Copenhagen out. We're gonna go get a glass of water, and we're gonna fucking kill this bottle. That's not much left. I'm not. My son has I totally had forgotten this, but my son has a soccer game at 9 a.m. in the morning. Come up. Wow. I worked in the yard today. I slung the sling blade for a little while. I went and got this corn knife because you can't sling the fucking. Let me see. Can I? Oh, okay. Yeah, baby. It's not very fucking sharp. Oh, it's sharp down here. It's so weird, most people. No, it's all right. Don't. Hey, Gilster. Loving someone means that you never have to say you're sorry. Hey! Rick. It's working for Rick. I don't know. What's up, Rick?
I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry.
Oh, I thought you just said I had a choice.
No. Hey, loving someone means you never have to say you're sorry. And here's the missus.
So, am I hearing you correctly? You've banned Gilster?
No. It's just that Gilster's something's wrong when he goes backstage, and it does not give me the prompt to whatever. It doesn't say bring the motherfucker on stage.
StreamYard knows that he doesn't have his pants on.
Oh, well,
Put your pants on, Gilster.
They missed a hitch with you and me. Sure. Did you eat?
A little bit. I snacked a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. Gary!
What's going on, Gary? Hi, Kat.
Good to see everyone here. Make sure to go get some Left Coast pins.
Gonna go huck some corn tonight?
Well, I was using the sling blade in the yard, but up in the corner of the yard, you can't get a good swing.
Okay.
So I got this to be a little more fine, in the corner of the fence. I don't want to hit nothing, so I can.
So
I used to cut
going
straw every winter for my sled dogs with a sickle like this in Alaska. You go out to the big fields where the grass was dead, and you would wrap it around your arm, and then you would cut it, and then you would lay it down and get some string. And I used to cut straw for my sled dogs by hand like that.
I have never done farm labor.
What?
Well, I'm going to call that farm labor of a way, right? It's not a trade.
I guess. I don't know.
Chopping corn down by hand, trade by trade.
Well, I wasn't chopping corn. I was just chopping grass for the, hay for the. Hey, G-Force. What's up, man? Good to see you.
G.
We're just fucking around. We're not doing anything important. Well, what's the news, Rick?
Not much, man.
Same shit, different day?
Same shit. It's Friday, though.
It is Friday.
Yeah.
Man.
Anything going on this weekend?
I got my son's soccer game in the morning at 9.
Cool.
And then past that, whatever, just bullshit. Yard work. And
I remember watching my nephews when they were little playing soccer, like you'd be there, other moms and parents are there and stuff like that. And, one kid kicks the ball and 20 kids go chase it around. And then there's 3 kids just, playing with a rock, or playing with their shoelaces or,
yeah.
have no clue what's going on, but
no.
There's the ball.
Yeah. 4-year-old soccer is not the
it's awesome.
It's not the blood sport that it should be.
Yeah.
But
everyone gets a gold medal.
If soccer is big where you live, huh?
Soccer's pretty big, yeah. Soccer's pretty big. And we do call it soccer.
Yeah, we call it that too. Yeah, in Alaska you don't
or foosball or
right. The foosball, Bobby. The in Alaska you don't play there's no football till like high school. There's
okay. Well, we have community football like outside of school.
Oh, really?
So, like your local city will have teams, and it's different in every city. Like so, junior high school is when I started playing like organized sports for real.
Yeah.
Although when I was little, I remember playing soccer and a little bit of hockey and stuff like that. But
hockey was the hot. Because like now I live in the South of America, right? And like there is no hockey, but people play football from when they're like 6.
Yeah.
But
here when you're little, soccer is a big thing.
Yeah, and like t-ball, I bet.
Lots of young kids do martial arts of different types here too. That's
right.
It's always been I'm not going to say popular, but it's always been popular, like karate classes or
regular karate. Yeah. I was a boxing coach, so boxing was our big thing.
I never took boxing like for a class or learned how to do it, but grade 8 or 9 at lunchtime we'd go behind the school, and we had 1 or 2 kids in our school that were trained boxers, and they would literally like beat us up every day.
Just beat the sound, yeah.
All of us, like because they were that good.
The sweet science.
Rarely
I was Golden Gloves for like 15 years, right?
Rarely would we like box each other, like one amateur versus another amateur who's never done it before, with big gloves on. Right. It was usually like Al or Darren would beat us up. Like it was always one of them, and
that's
someone who couldn't box.
I started boxing when I was probably 7 or 8.
Okay.
And my dad was the coach, and he would put me in the ring with like full-grown 27 to 40-year-old dudes, and he would tell them, he would say, if you take it easy on my son, I will get in there and beat your fucking ass myself. And so like from the age of like 7 to 14, I just got the fucking shit beat out of me by motherfuckers who really knew how to fucking fight.
Like I think you were probably a pretty big kid too. I was a big kid too.
Yeah, so, I was like 173 pounds in 3rd grade.
Grade 8 and 9, I wrestled. Like the school had a wrestling team, basketball, football. I played every sport when I was in junior high school. But I did wrestling, and wrestling, like everyone knows, wrestling works in like weight classes.
Right.
So like if you are 185 pounds, you wrestle other kids that are 185 pounds. They could be in grade 12.
Mm-hmm.
They could be 18 years old, and you could be like 11. It doesn't matter. You're the same weight class. That's how wrestling worked. But like when I was in grade 8 football, I didn't play against kids in grade 12 football. Like that, you had separate teams. You had the junior team, grade 8 team, senior team. Like you all had different levels. But so wrestling, grade 8 and 9, because I was like almost a 200-pound kid. I was a 200-pound kid. I would only wrestle in a heavyweight class, which was like 200 pounds and up.
Right.
Like there's no limit. It didn't stop.
Yeah, super.
It didn't stop at 300 pounds. Like it just
no.
So like I was wrestling 250-pound kids in grade 12 whose dads were like Olympic gold medals in like the 50s and
right. 60s. Who knew what the fuck? Yeah.
And I did good, but when I wrestled the kids in grade 12 who'd been doing this 5 years already, I didn't do as well. I was just a big, strong guy. But so I'm like, forget wrestling. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I stuck out with.
I did quite a bit of wrestling too, and football. But I've been doing boxing for so long, and the thing that made me go, I've been boxing since I was very young, and then it wasn't until like middle school and high school did I start getting into football and wrestling. And the one thing is that the two. Right, it's anaerobic and aerobic exercising. The two forms of exercising are completely counterintuitive to each other.
For sure, there, yeah.
And then so I said, well, I'm going to stick with boxing because I've been doing it since I was like 7 and was pretty fucking good at it. You know, not to be one of those people, but pretty fucking good at it, man.
Yeah.
And so there was just like a counterintuitive thing of you can't fucking do it all. You know, and I was a hellacious hockey player, played comp. Like I could never outrun anybody, but I could outskate. I could skate faster than any fucking guy.
I could never skate, dude, ever. Like I
was fucking lightning on the ice.
I skate. I would stop by hitting the boards.
Oh yeah,
with my toes.
I was fucking like I miss it.
I couldn't do those like
fucking good.
Those speed stops.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't do that. I would go, whoa,
yeah. I haven't. My first ice skating instructor was like a figure skating guy, and I don't know. And I still wore hockey skates, so I don't know if that like. But I was like the only kid out there in hockey skates in like the figure skating class, and like I don't know if that had anything to do with it or.
I don't know what G-Force is talking about, Ninja Warrior class, but. I don't know what that is, but I would totally go on one of those like Ninja Warrior game show things. Where
that's what he's talking about. Did you see?
Are there classes for
it? G-Force had a post, and I think I'm a little fucked up, and I don't remember if I read the whole thing, but like his nieces or nephews, like did really good in one of those. It's been a while, but it was on an Instagram post.
Yeah, I saw him sharing some of that. No,
man, I wish they had that
silly, crazy ninja, Asian guys speaking English game shows that they had back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I want to do it like raw. Like I don't know what the event is and how to do it like a pro athlete. I want to go in with other competitors who have no clue what's going to happen. And so
when I was young, not a thing, or at least where I lived, because it's all regional, right? But like, it was much more like, can you touch your nose with this 20-pound sledgehammer?
Yeah.
Can you pick up a moose hindquarter in each hand? Nobody ever said, like, well, can you do 1,000 monkey bars? Like, no, like nobody ever asked me to, they were like, can you fucking split and pack fucking birch firewood for fucking 16 hours?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, they're right here. See hold on, chat's going fast. My nephew is currently 7th in the world at his age. Wow, that I want my son to be. I would much rather my son be a fast as grease lightning ninja warrior than like this whatever. You know what I mean? That was never a thing. You didn't run right. You didn't outrun the bear. You just had to outrun who you were with. Like that was never a fucking.
You just had to beat the other guy.
That was never a fucking thing. That was never a thing. I want to pitch a toy hunt show to Sci-Fi.
Do it.
We want to hear it. Come on and tell us what's going on.
What you got to do, Gary, is move to Canada, and then you pitch it to any of the networks: Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon. Because in Canada, by law, like 30% of our content on those channels has to be Canadian made. So,
oh yeah, I remember you saying
always looking for stuff. But a lot of these people get deals on the Discovery Network, which is another one that pays pretty well. I don't know if I guess it's a streaming channel that comes with other packages, but that's got a Canadian, like everyone, they all got to have a Canadian content rule. So, and that's even back in the day, like that's before that happened. You had Survivor Man, you had these good Canadian content makers that sold their idea to the Discovery Channel. So, and now I think he owns all this stuff and it's all on YouTube.
I want to take a second to say hello to Sir John at Figuratively Speaking for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hello there.
I hope you're doing well. I hope you got out of the medical tent, young man. I know Figuratively Speaking was not feeling well there for a while. So
it looks like our buddy Padawan Collector Joey might be, going through a little health thing too, because he's canceled.
Oh, is he?
Canceled his appearance at the
no.
ICC con, and he was like not the Grand Marshal, but he was going to be one of the main.
Oh man, I hope. And
announcers or hosts, I guess is the word.
He has never come off as anything but a healthy person to me.
Absolutely, man. I know he likes to keep some stuff as personal, of course, right? But because we're close with lots of people in our community, with Gary and Orlando and other people that might go through some stuff. We kind of, even though we might not be told, personally, we do hear from other close friends.
Oh yeah, and we all care too. Like it's much less of a what do you call it, gossipy thing as a concerned thing.
Brett's got his under the table cam ready to go.
Oh yeah, well bring it
or
on.
Or under the bridge cam.
Exactly. Has anybody? So Vader's girl is now only Vader's girl.
Only new website.
She's like doubling down on the motherfucker.
She probably just gained 1,000 subscribers since putting that in her name.
Only. Oh what? Yeah, baby.
People make typos.
Oh my gosh.
It's a small production.
I can't find it in the link tree.
Yeah, Survivor Man is one of my favorites. I'll always go back and
let's kill this.
I'll rewatch his videos of him watching a video, just commenting on a video he made 20 years ago, and it's silly, but it is kind of entertaining because it's his content, right?
Who are you talking about, Joey?
I'm talking about Blue Sam Squatch. No, Survivor Man. Les Stroud. You know Les Stroud.
Maybe. I don't know. Who are you talking about?
You've never heard of Survivor Man? Like the man called Survivor Man that goes to Tuk Tuk and eats tree bark and shows you how to survive in the wild for 3 nights? While the camera crew is like 1 mile away, secretly. I mean, he's like the first reality star guy.
It seems like maybe, but I'd have to look at a picture of his face, and then I'd go,
a man from Alaska who is a wilderness freak has never heard of Survivor Man. Like,
well, I fucking grew up without electricity for a while, And
I can't even name another TV star that's a wilderness.
There is no other wilderness experts besides Lack.
Well, just Bear Grylls, right? He's the big. I think he's British, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of his shit comes off as like.
And then there's those weirdos on YouTube that go all over the world just to get bit by different types of ants and bugs. See how long they go before.
Hey, look, I'm a survivalist and everything, but and I was talking about dude, I can do Naked and Afraid, and I could do.
I love that show.
If those motherfuckers sent me to South America, I may not. You got to know the fucking place.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna put you like 1 mile from where you grew up. They're
Right.
gonna put you in
Yeah.
like
If they put me
deepest
north of
forest
the
in
49th
Brazil.
parallel, if they
Yeah.
put me north of the 49th parallel, like I'd smoke those motherfuckers.
No,
Because like I know
no,
all the plants. I know all the plants.
I love
Like
Naked and Afraid, and what's the other one called? Alone.
alone.
Since like day
Yeah.
one, man, when they first made those, I just thought they're just great content, and it's 95% real and legit, right? And then maybe 5% of it, or take it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to it's not every episode because I haven't seen them all or whatever. Because
But
I tell you what,
partly why I think they're
a lot of
partly
that shit,
fake.
Rick, a lot of that shit makes me homesick.
Oh, I
And
believe
so
it.
there's a lot of that shit I won't watch because it just makes me kind of like sad, to be honest with you.
Like the Naked and Afraid, like how you grew up naked running around in the woods.
Well, I mean, whatever. Like I had a native grandmother, so like we all had decent clothes. You know what I mean? Like that's the
these people all have grandmothers too, but they want to win $100,000.
Right, but they obviously didn't learn how to fucking, do anything from her, right? Like if you put me north of the 49th parallel, like, motherfucker, we would have like clay pots and fucking clothes.
It's cool to see too, like you get to bring like 2 items or 3 items. What items do they pick? And some people are like, an axe and a toothpick and, 3 matches or, whatever they pick. But everyone's different. Like, I got 20 feet of rope and a tarp and, roll of duct tape. It's usually better than that. But
I have put in my initial thing to Alone, and I just got an email recently that says, okay, we need you to go through this and give us, answer, it's like a fucking job interview, basically.
Yeah, we'll get someone like Brett or Bob to edit some of your videos together of you throwing axes or doing the hammer bow or, chopping a water bottle out with your sword.
Then like I wonder,
you'll be in like that, dude.
Well, I wonder, like, do they want people? Because like if you actually know what you're doing, they may not want you to win.
Oh no, they all know what
So
they're doing.
do they want people who are ignorant?
Yes, because if they don't have experienced people, then weekly someone will die.
Yeah, you goddamn right.
They will. They'll be trying to start a fire and like a rock will kill them and
just
whatever. Like
the fucking eye. Yeah, man. No, I used to do those things for fun.
And they're all experienced. Like when you watch them, like even like the 60-pound woman from like Arkansas, like I spent 12 years growing up in the woods in Tennessee and hunting rabbits and snakes and squirrels. These people, they'll survive.
If you can keep your fucking head on straight and not panic and know just a little bit about like plant, botany or whatever, it's
the people like me they don't want on the show. The guy that's never hunted anything.
Yeah, but like
life, right?
If one of the 10 items was like a fucking 10-pound bag of weed, because
batteries for the camera, man.
I'm fucking was raised by natives. Like, motherfucker, you can sit in the woods and jerk off and smoke weed for at least 3 weeks and not even fucking do anything else. Like that's like you could win that fucking shit so easy. You're like, I got a pound of weed in a fucking creek. Like, what the fuck? Like
bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, fuck. Oh, that's okay. Now look, we're gonna kill this. Okay,
do it.
We're gonna kill it. Right on. That was Brett's fault.
Frickin' Brett giving away.
Frickin' Brett.
Lasers and 3D printers.
That was super fucking cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, if I knew he was giving away a 3D printer, I would have won.
Well, he told me at least once in a private text, he was like, dude, Friday's going to be fucking crazy. People aren't even going to believe this gift. And he'd already explained, like, well, I'm going to see if people will, give up their chance for $5 or $20. And like, he told me that shit one time and I was like, well, I'm not stupid. I'm going in. I'm not fucking giving it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If he went up to like $40, I would have been like, $40. I could buy one Black Series figure for $40.
Yeah. No shit. At least get a fucking couple grams, huh? Probably an eighth where you're at, huh?
It's all legal here, man. You can just
No, I
grow it
know,
on
but
your
I
patio.
don't know the. I'll tell you my favorite Canadian. Well, I've driven from Florida to Alaska like 7 times. The first time I did it, I was 16 by myself. 16 years old, basically, you know, first year having a driver's license. But one of the fucking coolest things about Canada, I was in Fort Nelson, which I'm sure you know where that is, right? That's like
Yeah, well,
mile
you gotta
zero
take
of the.
the Alaskan Highway,
Yeah, it's mile
which
zero.
is like all in Canada, and it's
Yeah,
called
pretty
the
much.
Alaska Highway, even though it's in Canada.
Right.
Or
And
90% of
it
it.
doesn't even start until way up there at Fort Nelson.
Yeah, correct.
Which is
Yeah,
pretty fucking far up there, right? So I'm in Fort Nelson, I'm coming south, and I was 16, so like I was partaking and I was being a shithead and all the shit that we do, And I'm in Fort Nelson, and this see, I'm 40. So however many years ago I was 16, that'll tell you the year.
10.
Okay. And so I'm driving around Fort Nelson, which is not very big, and I see some kids on these like monkey handlebar bicycles, right? And I pull up to them in my 89 fucking Chevy Blazer, and I go, hey man, you know where to get any fucking clo, right?
Yeah.
And the fucking guy's like, yeah, no problem. He was like, follow me. So he's on his bicycle pedaling like 0 miles an hour, and I'm behind him like a fucking parade in broad daylight in the summer. And we go to this like the only subdivision looking place in Fort Nelson, and he pulls over and I pull over, and he says, wait right here, I'll be back. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So I give him like $50 Canadian, and he leaves. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and I don't know how long it was, but at some point I was like, I'm sitting in a car outside of this fucking neighborhood in front of a house. I'm, like shit's starting to look not cool. So I like get out of the car and raise the hood, and I like go in there and like do nothing but look like I'm doing something. And I fucking get back in the car and I'm like, well, it was worth it, but I just got burned, right? And I'm like, fuck, I better leave. And I look in the rearview mirror, and here comes this fucking kid on his fucking bike, and he rolls up, and he hands me like the fattest fucking lid. The fattest fucking lid you've ever seen of like Primo MTF, the fucking shit, right? Hands it to me, says, sorry it took so long, brother. So he hands me that, and then he hands me like fucking $20 in change. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, man, I really appreciate it. And he was like, man, you think maybe. And I assumed like he probably already pinched some, but like this fucker was like way bigger than he was already fat. He's like, you think I could maybe get a, for the trouble? And I was like, yeah. So I pull out like this giant, like fucking Christmas tree. And he's like, oh my God, man, you don't have to give me that much, But it was like the most polite, greatest fucking deal of all time, And I just thought, and I was like, fucking Canada's a pretty cool place, man. Because like that would never fucking happen nowadays.
We're all right.
It's
crazy. The craziest part, okay, of all the things in life, and even it's in today's politics crap, like inflation, right? It's a part of life. Bills go up, rents go up, cost of milk and eggs go up, maybe your salary does, blah, 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 but everything goes up.
But probably not.
Except for weed.
Right.
It's cheaper now than it was when I was a teenager.
Yeah, well, the market's flooded. Right?
But isn't the market flooded with like milk and bacon and rent and
no, I don't think
everything
so,
else? It's like the only thing on the planet, like here in North America, it's sold by weight, so it's cheaper by the gram now than it was 25 years ago.
Wow.
At like half the price.
Yeah.
And I don't get oil is not, water is not, like nothing is half the price that it was 25 years ago.
Well, I feel like as long as you're not buying that prove stuff, you're doing okay.
It's weird, man, and I
Yeah.
don't get that.
Well, I have been not partaking in quite a long time now, but being raised the way I was, that was like I mean, it's part of your fucking religion in a way. You know, we used
Way of
to,
life. It's a Rastafarian way of life. It's very inspirational to us Canadians.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, at least for me, like living in the woods, it was much more meaningful. And like being in the society of America, it becomes much less because we were always doing stuff. We were always doing stuff, you know, and it was part of that. It was like that small break and do, like we'd go fucking cut firewood every fucking day, and like hard work, like fucking walk 3 miles pulling a fucking sled, cutting it with a crosscut saw because you couldn't afford fucking gasoline, like hardcore shit.
Because
But
you
like,
had to.
yeah, yeah, we had to. I mean, yeah, it was that or freeze to death, and it wasn't just you freezing to death. It'd be your
No, big
wife
family.
or your wife's sister or whatever. And like even people you would fucking you'd wake up and you'd say, hey, Rick has the flu. You'd be looking next door and you'd say, hey, Rick's not been feeling well for a couple weeks, and
Let's go rob them.
well, no. See, we'd say Rick's not feeling good. It's about to get fucking really cold tonight, and there's no firewood. He's got no firewood outside. And you'd go get a couple buddies, and you'd say, hey, motherfuckers, we need to go get Rick some wood. Like, hey, Rick broke his leg last week. He can't. We better go get some wood. Or like old people, elders that were 80, or like. And then at the same time, when you were getting wood, when you'd be out there, some lady would come out of their place. This is when I lived in the village, not in the woods with my granddad. But they would say, hey, is Rick inside? Yeah, he's inside. Hey, I just made him this soup because I know he's sick. Come get this. And you'd go over there and you'd get the soup and you'd go in and you'd fucking, hey.
It's awesome. I love soup.
Yeah, but like that was the fucking way it was, man. And it's still that way in some rural areas, but like, to think however long ago, like we were all like that. Even in fucking New York City, however long ago, people did that.
Well, the silly part, the part that's maybe a little weird is that lifestyle, and that still exists depending on where you are in Canada and in the U.S. I know for a fact there's people that live in the middle of nowhere and rural parts of the United States, and especially here in Canada, there's lots of that stuff. But I mean, like, I have not been to every state. I've been to maybe a good 20 of the states, and I've been to some towns where I'm like, this town is like right out of the 50s and hasn't aged in 50, 75 years. And there's still small towns in Canada that are not far off of that, right? Like, so a lot, like, that's why I watch these travel channels, like on YouTube. There's a lot of good Canadian ones. And they go to these, like, you guys have ghost towns in the US. Like, we just have towns that are, only a couple people still live there. Like, they're not a ghost town yet, but it should be a ghost town because 3 people still live there. And like where the first Hudson Bay store was.
Right. Or like there was the gold rush in 1990.
80 square foot log cabin in the middle of nowhere. And that was like literally North America's first like department store, trading post.
That's my shit. That's my shit. When I was young, we'd be out in different places hunting moose or whatever, And a lot of places people knew about if you hung with the right people. But every once in a while, you'd be going off someplace further than anyone else would go. And like you would come across this cabin, And like instead of it being notched like this, it was dovetailed.
It was done different. Yeah.
It's done different. And then like on the door, it would be scratched, 1919 and somebody's name who you recognize because, oh, that's so-and-so's granddad.
Yeah.
And then you think,
or if they have square nails, like, nails that were literally like handmade, in the 1800s, as opposed to like round nails,
Right. Yeah.
More modern day machine.
Or pegs. Or wooden pegs.
Yeah.
Or like we used to, you'd go to cabins and like some people would have like a tin roof And
Mhm.
like, I don't know what year tin came out, but it's been around for a long time, But eventually you'd find, of course there was a lot of sod roofed cabins, but you'd find that cabin that had like 55-gallon barrel drums that
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
and flattened out. And you'd go inside and there'd be a fucking calendar from like, Sears and Roebuck or Hudson Bay on the wall, and it'd be like 1947.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd be like, wow,
The
that's,
last time someone was in here.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fucking.
no, I recommend this channel on YouTube. It's called Ghost Town Living, and
Mhm.
this guy Brett bought a ghost town in California called Cerro Gordo. It was one of the
Oh,
big
okay. I think,
silver mines back in the day, and so he bought this ghost town, and
yeah. And he has the excavator and shit.
yeah, well, he gets people like Heavy D to donate some tractors and trucks and come up and help build
Yeah.
stuff.
I think
And
I've
it
seen.
had a hotel and everything that he was rebuilding, and sadly it burnt down. So he's had to rebuild it from scratch and figure out ways to get concrete up there, to get water up there. Like it's a hassle because he's up in the mountains, in a
Right.
place from the 1800s
And
where they
as
don't
much
have
of a
like.
hassle as it is now, imagine how much of a hassle it was in 18
But
whatever.
it's so cool, man. Like his videos come out every couple weeks. But what's happened at the ghost town over the past few weeks and construction wise and rebuilding old cabins, and he's got, because it's a mining town, he has mines, so he owns a bunch of mines, and one
Mhm.
goes down like to the 900-foot level, and he's put in like electricity and Wi-Fi, internet, and some books for a library, so he can go and stay down there a night or two, and
Yeah,
900 levels below the earth, right? Like just
that's cool.
insane stuff.
I
Like
think I swear I've seen parts. I don't think I've subscribed,
well,
but
lots of other people go there too, so it's like a
is that the guy who found the?
destination.
Is that the guy who found the Levi jeans that he sold for like $350,000?
Well, that's one of the things he hunts for all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's because those things are worth $1 million if you can
Oh
find
yeah,
a
they are.
150-year-old pound of pair of Levi's.
Yeah, I have a pair from the '70s that are worth way more. I can't, way more than you'd ever fucking think, and they're just like bell-bottomed Levi Strauss from 70,
It's weird.
72.
Vintage clothes are a hot thing now, man.
Yeah.
It's a trendy
Well,
market.
for somebody with like a fucking 58-inch chest and a 44-inch waist, I'm out of the vintage. Very hard to find that, except in Value Village in Alaska. That's like the only place.
Without, I believe that. Yeah.
Very hard to find vintage clothes on eBay that fit old Lackey Baby. Well, I used to work at Kimber, which is a premier gun building company.
Yeah.
When I first started there, you had to get a bulletproof vest because you'd go and shoot every morning, you know, you would go and shoot, and we were supposed to take turns, but it ended up somehow being my job because a lot of people didn't like to do it. But you would go and shoot like 4 to 6 magazines through each gun that was repaired because we were the guns. We were the
You
gun.
were the guinea pig.
Well, we fixed all the guns for like warranty repair, and we did all the custom work. We weren't the assembly line, and then we would go test those, right? So like every morning, first thing in the morning, I'd have like 50 guns that I would go shoot, and then you had to get a bulletproof vest for liability reasons and all that kind of shit. And like it took quite a while, They were like, they don't make a fucking 58-inch fucking, they don't make that. They don't make that vest, motherfucker. And I was like, well, I'll wait. And so it took like 4 weeks for it to be special made and shit. You think they
Wow.
would have let me take that with me when I left because ain't nobody else gonna use that motherfucker, But yeah, vintage clothes. I don't make a lot of my shit anymore, but I have a seamstress down the street, and I go down there with different shit, and I say, hey, I need some darts, I need some gussets put into the fucking side, and then like sew this fucking lipstick mark patch on the fucking butt, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah, I remember taking sewing in I guess it was high school or junior high school, but I remember learning how to use a sewing machine. And at one point in my life, like probably 20 something, I did own a sewing machine. Like
Yeah.
I don't ever know whatever happened to it. Like I don't have it now, but I did at one point have a sewing
I
machine.
never learned how to use a sewing machine because everybody, when I was growing up, everybody still did this. You know?
I've done that too. Like when you
Right.
gotta, repair a hole in your jeans or your overalls or whatever.
Right.
Like
I can
I
run
know
a
how to
whip
do that.
stitch and all that kind. And like when I guided, it was a big deal. We'd use when I guided, when you would pack on the mules or horses. If you're in the mountains of Montana, you used mules for pack animals, but in Alaska, you use giant horses because there's a lot of mud. Mules have small feet; they can't handle mud. But in Montana, there's not a lot of mud. It's all mountains, you know. But when you would pack on these animals, you would always use what they called a mani tarp, which is like an oilskin canvas, and you would put that over the whole load, you know. But like that was like always at camp at night. You were always baseball stitching
Sewing something.
the fucking mani tarps back, you know, because they whatever would happen or whatever. But like,
Yeah, I've been learning a little bit about mules and donkeys and quarter horses and all that from Tom Green
oh
this
yeah,
summer because since he's moved back to Canada, he bought a big farm in Ontario. He's
mm-hmm.
bought he has like a mule that he rides and a Fanny the mule and
Yeah,
a couple of big quarter horses and then a regular horse, and he talks about all the different breeds and because he's learned too since having them how like a mule is like I don't know the exact term, but it's like a male horse and a female donkey, or the other
right.
way around, and they
You can
can't
have both. You
they
can have
can't
both.
ever
Yeah,
breed again after that. Like that mule
yeah
can't
mules are
produce.
sterile. Yeah,
Yeah,
mules are
mules
sterile.
are all sterile. They can't reproduce
And it
again.
depends. It
It's
depends on.
weird because it's different than dogs. A
Yeah,
dog can hump any dog and make another dog, and that dog
yeah.
will always
Dog
be
is a
able to make
dog.
another dog.
Yeah, dog is a dog.
But when it comes to you know,
And
dogs are canines, horses or some other scientific name, but yet they can go sterile after.
there's a and it's been a lot of years, you know, and like you don't have to know this, but like when I went to guide school and different shit, like it was shit you had to know. But you can have a male horse and a female donkey to make a mule, or you can have the other way.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of them is called a hinny, and the other one is called a ginny.
Okay.
And when you say, oh, you know, he's a hinny mule, and I think ginny maybe is. See, I can't even remember, but those two names dictate the sex of the mother and father, because the mother could be a horse or a donkey, or it could be the other way around. But they
Okay.
have the terms hinny and ginny, and so if you're in Iowa or wherever the fuck where they still do shit like this, they'll say, "Oh, it's a hinny mule, 13 hands or whatever." The word hinny dictates, oh, okay, the mother is this species, and I can't fucking remember
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
which. But yeah, they have those terms for that. And
Just something cool that I didn't learn in school. That if I did, I don't remember it now. But
yeah,
watching Tom Green's videos over the summer, out riding his mule and going through
yeah,
the
I catch some
pastures.
of his lives on Instagram, and like, man, a mule, people, a lot of normal people or whatever you want to call it, a mule is always like, the idea of a mule is that they're stubborn. And they're not, because I worked with a lot of mules, especially in Montana, but mules are not stubborn. They're extremely fucking smart.
Yeah, that's what he explained too. Like
Yeah, they're
he said,
really
like he
smart.
thinks his mule can read his mind when
Yeah.
he's riding it and stuff. And the guys teaching him how to train and ride the mules are telling him like, "Oh no, the mule is smart. It will when you want to turn left and you're doing this, and it knows you
Don't
really
do
want it. It knows that you don't want to turn left. Like
Yeah.
even though
A
you're
horse, so
trying
a
to lie
horse,
to it.
if a horse gets wrapped in barbed wire, most of the time, because I had a horse when I worked in Iowa, I managed a ranch in Iowa, and I had a fucking horse that did not attune to this law, but the old saying is like if a horse gets wrapped in a barbed wire fence, a horse will kill itself trying to get free. It will thrash and it will try to get free. If a mule or donkey gets trapped in a barbed wire fence, it will stay perfectly still and wait for somebody to come get it out.
Okay.
you know, because and it's the same thing with like in the old 1930s movies, right? You can ride a horse off of a cliff because a horse trusts the rider. You can ride a horse off of a cliff into the water. A mule or a donkey, if you ride that fucker all the way to the edge of the cliff,
It'll stop.
it will stop and it
It'll
will
throw
let
you
you
off.
go. And it'll go like that. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. And not every horse. I've had a few, and they're always paint. I was really into fucking horses when I did, because when I grew up in Alaska, we didn't have that. Like we're the only natives in the world that don't have fucking horses, you know. So when I decided to become a big game guide, I knew, okay, I need to learn about horses. I need to learn how to shoe horses. I need to, you know. So I went to a renowned school in Montana to learn all these things, you know. But a tricolor paint horse is a lot like a mule. They are fucking smart. I was out on this horse called Snuff, which nobody liked. I was working at a place. We had about 48 horses that were free range, real fucking cowboy shit, man. We'd have to go wrangle them. They lived free and wild all winter. And then when it was time to work, you would go out on foot with a bridle and a fucking sack of sugar, and you would try to fucking catch these motherfuckers and round them up and bring them back to camp, you know. But I was on it was like our day off on Sunday, and we were fucking drinking, man. We had like half gallons of fucking whiskey, and we were getting fucked up. And the boss came in the outfitter came in our cabin. There was three of us. And he said, there's some fucking really nice sheep up on the mountain out here. Y'all got to take so-and-so and go get them. And so we come out the door and we look, and there's some nice fucking trophy, full curled doll sheep, fucking just primo shit. And they're up on this mountain next to the camp. And we're fucking drunker than skunks, man. And we get our fucking horses and we fucking saddle them. And we're out there, and like my two friends, they're like they're like riding next to each other, holding each other by the shoulder, because as the horse is like walking, they're starting to fucking like fall off because they're so drunk. And I'm doing good. I'm bringing up the rear. Because I was like the new guy, so I had all the fucking pack animals and shit. And I'm fucking going along, and we get to this opening. Most of the time people don't hunt this way. Like it's not a traditional way to go. But we see these sheep, right? And we get to this fucking opening, right? And my fucking horse fucking stops. Dead stop. And that fucker looks at me. And like, this fucking horse was so cool. Nobody liked him. He liked me. I liked him. You could fucking he'd lay down like a dog and you could sleep. He was a fucking person, you know? And that fucker stopped, and he looked at me. And I laid the reins on his neck, and I said, hey, whatever you want to do, baby, you know? And this fucking horse started picking his way through the fucking bushes off the trail around the edge of this little opening. And the fucking four guys in front of me, they go out in this, because it looks like a trail, whatever, they're going to go across. And in the middle of that motherfucker is goddamn quicksand. And
okay.
The fucking horses start fucking sinking, and some people fucking fall off, and fucking they lose their fucking guns, and we ended up, one horse got stuck, and we had to fucking kill it because we couldn't get it out.
Oh wow!
But my fucking horse, man, that motherfucker, he fucking stopped dead in his tracks, and he fucking looked over his goddamn shoulder at me, and he told me, he said, "Motherfucker, I got this," and I. Dude, I just said, whatever, man. And that fucker picked his way all the way around, and the rest of those guys got fucked up. And we ended up not being able, by the time we got everybody out of the quicksand and saved the people that were sinking and got the fucking horses out that were stuck and ended up having to kill one, we had to fucking shoot one because there was you couldn't get him out. There was nothing he was going to, whatever. He was going to stay there and starve to death or whatever. It wasn't, it was fucking real cowboy shit. But that fucking horse that I was on, man, and he was a tricolored paint. He had a parrot mouth, which is, I don't know if there's horse people, but he had a parrot mouth and he had sharp canines. because horses are actually omnivores, right? Horses do eat meat. And if you look at skulls of prehistoric horses, they have sharp canines just like humans do right here. And you can find some horses out there that are like that. They're usually tricolored paints. They have hair on their hoofs, even though they're not necessarily from a breed, like a Clydesdale or shit that has fur on their hoofs. But like those motherfuckers know their shit, man. And that fucking horse, his name was Snuff, and I love that motherfucker. And like the one other time I was on him a lot, but one time, and I can't even remember what had happened, but I was at camp, something had happened, and I didn't go out. And then me and my horse were at the lodge, and the boss told me, I don't even remember what it was, but he said, hey, you got to go up to this camp and whatever the fuck. Tell them this or bring them this. I don't remember what it was. And it was only like 12 miles, but like a horse only walks 3 miles an hour. So like 12 miles is it's a fucking ride,
Yeah.
And I go out there and I do my thing and I end up going hunting with him and shit. And then I go to come back, but I'm coming back from a different direction, but I know where I'm going. And a fucking blizzard came in. And you couldn't I was riding this horse and you couldn't fucking see his head, and I'm like 18 and I'm out there and I'm in the middle of nowhere from the middle of nowhere. And because I was going to take this direction to go back to the lodge because I had something else I had to do. And I thought, man, I really don't know what the fuck's going on. And I fucking put those reins on that horse's neck and I said, Snuff, take us fucking home, man. And I fucking bundled up, and I ended up falling asleep. And when I woke up, we were at the fucking hitching post at the fucking barn, man.
No way.
Yeah, that motherfucker knew where he was the whole time. And I said, let's fucking go home, And that fucker took me back, whatever, like a 6-hour fucking trek, through places that other people haven't been yet, because of the time of the season and the direction I was going. But like, yeah, I missed those fucking days, man. It was fucking fun fucking shit. Just fucking hard.
Big animals like that, it's pretty amazing how, intelligent they really are, right? Whether it's a horse, I'm sure neither of us have experience with elephants, but apparently they're some of the most intelligent animals.
They're supposed to be really intelligent, yeah.
Dolphins, like things we don't ever get to hang out with. Like, we think horses are smart. I think dolphins and elephants are supposed to be the smartest, if not,
I know dolphins supposed to be like top after humans, I guess.
And then birds that can freaking talk and shit, like, like that can't be a stupid animal if you can talk to a parakeet or a parrot and hey, fuck off, Lack, and then all of a sudden it starts saying fuck off, Lack every time. Lack
ravens can be taught to speak.
Ravens can talk too. Ravens are insanely smart.
Exactly.
It's like they will recognize you 20 years later. If you 20 years ago, threw a rock at it or threw a rock at its grandmother, and then it got born 20 years later, and it's like, hey, there's that fucker that threw a rock at my great grandmother. Before I was born.
Well, and there is a lot of similarities to all native cultures. Because everywhere I ever worked or lived, I always went to the local native tribe and stayed and learned, and whatever their culture was, I would stay and learn, and mostly want to learn the stories of the old days from the elders, And in most northern Canadian Athabascans, right? We're Athabascan Indians and we're Inuit and Yupik Eskimos, and there's Gwich'ins, which are really just kind of a sub-genre of Athabascan. And I'm sure most of Canada, once you get into the south, I know you're getting into probably more Lakota and different stuff. But most all of the northern tribes will tell you that the raven is who stole the sun.
Yep, I've heard that.
You've heard that?
For sure. Raven is apparently my spirit animal.
Oh, really?
That has to do with
That's awesome.
when I was born, or my horoscope or whatever. But yeah, I've got a cool silver raven ring
Yeah, Raven is who stole
from
the
an
sun
ex.
from the gods to bring it to us. It was Raven, and like that's fucking. And like I said, that's the most northern. I don't know how to say it. I spent a lot of time with the Mandan Indians in the Dakotas, and they know that ravens stole the sun. You know, but from every culture I've ever been in, there's so many similarities. Whether it's their version of Bigfoot or like the Great Flood. Every native culture can tell you at
And
this time it was a great
that's
flood.
what's insane. Like, because I love my ancient aliens and all the ancient astronaut theorists believe.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Aboriginal people from, let's say Australia, from, tens of thousands of years ago, or people in Tibet, or, South America somewhere, or up in Alaska and Canada somewhere, all have these stories of something that happened like tens of thousands of years ago. And they're all almost the same.
Yeah.
Yet they've never spoke with each other on a
Yeah.
cell phone, on a telegram, on a mailed piece of anything. They
Right.
didn't travel to those places on a boat. They didn't fly there on the wings of a dragon. Like, we don't know. That could have been how it all happened.
Well,
But I mean,
yeah, very well could have.
it's weird
But
because
yeah,
they all,
they all
even with
know.
their art, like you see the art on the walls of caves.
Yeah.
It's similar to the art on walls of, you know, Egypt, or
Mhm.
other things
Yeah,
in
especially when it
in
comes to
South
different.
America. But yet
Yes.
they've never met each other. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I had an uncle that went to when he went to Vietnam. He did boot camp in, and I can't remember the name of the fort, but he was in the New Mexico, Arizona area, right? And he went to a powwow, right? Where I'm from, we call it potlatch. I think they probably call it potlatch where you're from too.
I've heard both.
Have you? Okay.
And
Yeah,
what's the
because like First Nations is a lot of different tribes.
Yes,
But
absolutely. Like, I don't know them. It's not a thing we were taught in school. Like,
right.
parts of it, like, with Western civilization and how that came to be. But when I'll watch other stuff, like even nowadays, like in my province, like you're in the state of Florida, I'm in the province of British Columbia. Compare them that way.
Mm.
So the leader of our province and our city mayors and stuff, when they go to do like a news conference or something, like say the Pope came to town, and the mayor and Prime Minister Trudeau go somewhere downtown and they're announcing the Pope is here in Vancouver. They'll say, the homeland of the Squamish Nation, and the
Right.
Nuck Cluck Cluck, and name
Right.
like off 3 or 4 different, tribes, and who this land was all their land, because it's all divided up in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a part of our culture now. Like, when it comes to governments, and not political as much, but like, yeah, dedication ceremonies, or remembrance days, they'll always mention we're on the land of so and so,
Yeah, that's how it should
First
be.
Nations people. But they didn't do that when I was a kid. When I
No.
was a kid, when Trudeau's dad went up to take a speech, he didn't. That wasn't part of his
No,
thing,
no.
right?
Well, even in like Alaska up until the 70s, man. I mean, there was like there, and I know it was the same in Canada. There was a very approved anti-native um idea from most people.
Sure, sure.
I mean, even in I've had plenty of up until I can't remember what year it was, but like in the village that I was raised in the wilderness, but after my grandparents died, I went to the village, and it was really just because my granddaddy said, "No, you don't want to go to you don't want to go there," because to him it was the big city.
Big city, yeah.
But like there was a sign up until like 1986, that there was a sign, no natives pass the tracks after dark,
Oh, wow.
you know, and like
Can't say I've ever seen a sign like that.
yeah, I mean, and that lasted a really long time in the northern part of the continent. I mean, even in Canada, it was like a big deal. And like, there's plenty of shows now, and like, who is that? Baker Bob, the serial killer in Alaska, and like, there's a show I haven't seen, But I know kind of the idea of it. But like, it's about native victims, you know, in the north and stuff, and like it was
Well, we
definitely a time
got
back then where, like, you know, if you were going to murk a bunch of people that nobody cared about, like that's who you went after. And like, especially in Alaska, one of our big problems was always soldiers, you know, military guys. If a military guy wanted to go do his military thing and beat people up, and you know, it was easy pickings to go,
yeah.
you
I
know.
spoke earlier about the Alaskan Highway, which goes through British Columbia all the way up to Anchorage or wherever the big city is up there.
Hmm.
Um, Part of that highway before it becomes like the route to Alaska, before in the central part of British Columbia, it's nicknamed the Highway of Tears
Hmm.
because it's a well-known area where hundreds of First Nations women and white women, but mostly Aboriginal women, are missing. Like, they
Hmm.
go hitchhiking up to Prince George or Prince Rupert or Alaska or wherever they're going and never heard from again.
Never
Like
heard from again. Yeah.
hundreds, right? So it's either we have like one big serial killer, rapist, whatever you want to call it, or we have dozens of them, and the none of them have ever been caught. Like it's
Hmm.
so yeah. The Highway of Tears is another nickname for the Alaskan Highway for the people hitchhiking up towards Alaska
Yeah.
over the past. So I guess over the past 25, 30 years.
Yeah. I've driven that thing quite a bit, and like, yeah, it's definitely
And how many hookers did you pick up and bury in the ditches?
none.
Absolutely none. So it
Absolutely none.
wasn't you.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever heard the story of Baker Bob? I think now they call him Butcher Bob, but in Alaska in the day we called him Baker Bob. I can't remember his last name. There was going to be a movie about him, but somehow there was like one trailer and then it got canceled. But
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
and
we
I
got
think
the Poco Pig Farmer. That's what we got. That's
yeah,
fake.
there's a book. Yeah. Well, Baker Bob, he was a fairly famous big game hunter, and he had a lot of what they call Pope and Young. So there's Boone and when you hunt animals to do records and stuff, there's two categories. There's Boone and Crockett, which is what's animals are taken by firearms, and then there's Pope and Young, which is what's taken by bow and arrow. And this guy, Robert, whatever his name was, he owned a bakery in downtown Anchorage, and he was a huge hunter. He had like the top three. Um, he had like the top three game animals in these world records, right? Well, this whole time in the 70s and probably most of the late 60s, he was abducting, and he was around the Anchorage area. He was abducting these native women, um, and he would fly them to his remote cabin in his airplane, and then he would let them loose, and he would fucking hunt them. And he fucking did that for years, and they don't really even know how many he was responsible for.
That's not cool, but I would watch that movie.
Oh, it was going to be a big. I think Johnny Knoxville was going to be in the movie. And that was the part I remember. I said, "Oh, look, Johnny Knoxville is going to try to be like a serious fucking actor. That's crazy."
Yeah.
And then it just fucking disappeared. But he and I can't remember her name. My first wife's cousin was a victim of his. Um, but this one woman got away from him and ended up spent however many days hiking through the wild because she was like a hardcore native. She wasn't like a concrete city native. And she made it out to a road and flagged down a trucker and got help. And that's how they ended up catching this guy, you know. And they yanked all of his world record hunting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they like scrubbed him from the records and shit. Which, like, as a guide, you know, when anybody ever got anything really high on this is number 10 in the world, you know, I would always tell them, well, it's actually number 12, you know, because don't forget about, you know, because that Dall sheep that Baker Bob killed, even though they scrubbed him for the record,
Still
like that still literally is the
counts.
biggest one, motherfucker. You know, like
Can't take that away, can you?
let's not like Mandela affect our fucking reality, you know. But yeah, that was like a big deal, and there was this place. called Chena Lakes, and it's like a gravel pit from the 1930s that filled up with water. But it's like like if you live near the Fairbanks area, it's like the fucking beach, right? People are like, "Oh, I'm going to Chena Lakes," and like you get swimmers itch and shit because it's a fucking gravel pit. But like everybody goes there. But like in the '60s, man, like like natives had to be fucking careful. You'd be hanging out doing your thing, and guys from the military base would show up, and they just fucking start opening fire on fucking people. Like it was a different fucking world, and it was not that long ago.
But it was before our time, which I'm glad that I haven't had to go through or grow up with or live through that kind of like. Also, we live in Canada and the U.S. Like, I'm positive that kind of shit still happens in other,
It's
really.
still.
We'll call them third world countries, but other not so great countries.
It's
still have shit like this happening, right?
It still happens. I have to tell you, it still happens in Alaska, and it's. I'd like to say that it's rare, but again, when you catch people is rare, so you don't really know how often it's really going on. But there's still, there's a lot of cases that are modern in my time, where people are. What would be the word? Predizing. I don't know what the word is. I've had a little bit too much drink, but they're seeking out a certain demographic to
well, like I said, just Highway of Tears. Like,
yeah,
sure, lots of men go hitchhiking too, but they only tend to pick up, the homeless native ones, or the ones, who are weak and, out of their luck or whatever if they're hitchhiking, obviously too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other predator we had, which is local to me, Robert Picton was his name. He was called the Poco Pig Farmer, and he would go downtown and get all the shit out of luck, homeless native kind of prostitutes, and give them some drugs. Hey, come back to my place. Bring them back to his place, and kill them, rape them, do them, whatever, and literally feed them to the pigs.
To
get rid of the bodies. And he did this for years and years and years until one chick kind of got away, stabbed him and ran away out of the house. And police kind of did some investigating and eventually, found the remains of like, 52, people, 52 women that had gone missing over the past like 10 or 15 years or whatever. Eh? And I think he has the record. I think he is the most people serial killed, as far as I know. Like, and then they would plant like undercover police officers like in the prison, and then they'd get up and tight and close with some of these criminals to get more evidence out of them, or to get more bodies or locations out of them. And he spilled the beans to more, and he's like, oh, they only got me for this many, and I needed this many to get even 100 or whatever his thing was, or to get 50. And it's just sick. And the thing is, there hasn't been a movie made of this yet either. And I don't know if it has to do with rights, because you mentioned about maybe making a movie about some other, Alaska killer guy. And this guy, over this year, he died in prison. Apparently somebody decided that like some plumbing pipe should have passed through his head a couple times, and that's where the plumbing pipe happened to go. So he's no longer with us, thank God. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I wonder if there is rights that need to be approved for them to make movies about, Jeffrey Dahmer, all those the stuff you hear about, right? And
well, it seems like a lot of,
but I mean, movies get made about sick stuff, sadly. True stories.
And some of it might just be that's not a story or an idea that we, not we, but, the powers that be, the local government, the federal government, they may not be something that they want to associate with our modern times as much.
I don't know. Like, you think about all the things that crazy people over, like I said, the Jeffrey Dahmer guy, like he ate people like McNuggets, like he chopped them up and ate them. and that was like a hit series on Netflix or whatever. And I thought it was a neat show about a creepy
They
topic.
they
The
arrested.
Columbine shooters and all the weird shit. Like,
Was it
look at
Dahmer?
movies made about them.
It was Dahmer that they arrested here, right?
No, that was Ted Bundy.
Oh, it was Bundy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
another
it was Bundy.
He got arrested downtown Pensacola.
Yeah, Ted Bundy was arrested. Like, shit, that couldn't be more than 2 miles from where I'm at right now.
That's crazy, man.
Where they arrested him,
And there was something that happened here. I think it was in the late 70s or 80s. I was living in Ontario, but this story goes back in Port Moody where I live. But I guess a school girl went missing walking home from school one day, and she was trapped locked in a guy's basement for years. Like, she grew up in this guy's basement, and you hear about stuff like this, and you think it can't be true or real. No, that shit happened, man. Like, there's probably several stories like this, like, because I've seen other movies or documentaries about sickos that do crazy shit like this, man. Like, lock people up in their basement for 20 years and have babies with them, or worse.
Yeah, who was that famous girl? Where she got loose, and there's like who was that last girl who got out of the house and went to that guy? You know what I'm talking about? Her name was Amanda, I think, right?
I'm sure it happens in every country, in every state, big cities. There's a wacko.
Oh yeah, yeah, and just because we're in a first world country or whatever we want to call it compared to other places, like. And growing up in Alaska, there was violence, and there wasn't as much, we didn't have locally any of these like serial type murderers, but like, there's still a lot of third world shit going on where I'm from, It's
different now. Like now, like you and the wife, when your kids are 5, 6, 8, 10 years old, you're not letting them go hang out at the park, like with, what I mean? Alone.
Right. Oh, definitely not.
But when you and me were kids, like you would go like ride a moose when you were alone as a kid. But I mean, me and my peers, we'd go play at the park or go ride our bikes or go, smoke a cigarette or do whatever we did when we were 8, 9 years old. And then when the street lights come on, that's when you go home or whatever, right? 7 o'clock or whatever. But now there's none of that. Like, go outside now at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, kids you see running around alone playing with a basketball or a bicycle.
When I had my kids, I built a giant fence around the yard.
There you go. Yeah.
And I still they don't play in the yard by themselves. Like, I'm out there sitting on the porch, armed to the fucking teeth. And that's just the way. Like when my I carry 24 hours out of the day, right? And like when I had kids, like it became like a much bigger priority because I'm not just trying to defend myself or if you and I are at the bar together and we're hanging out, whatever, we might get in a fist fight with some guys, but like when you're out with your kids, like we're not having any kind of tussle, we're going straight to fucking the full tilt boogie, because there's there's much more precious shit at stake. When my kids' mother was pregnant with my first child, I literally went to the shooting ranges with bags of flour and practiced shooting, holding
one hand,
holding like a fucking 10-pound bag of flour.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Like I fucking thought about it. I was like, motherfucker, this is a different fucking thing going on here. And like I had a fucking, I think it was cornmeal, whatever it was like a 10-pound bag of shit, wrapped in fucking saran wrap. And I would fucking practice fucking holding and drawing and fucking shooting, because I just thought like, it's a different fucking thing going on, and like God help the motherfuckers that fuck with my kids,
Did you
know?
practice doing that with a sword as well?
No, because I go. There's not going to
There's
be.
an idea for a YouTube video.
That is a good idea.
How
I
to
should-
slay the bad guy with your baby, and all you have is your sword.
And all you have is your sword. Yeah, I very rarely am ever in the situation where I'm only armed with my
You're at
sword.
the park with your sword.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Like, are you in a state where you can, like, drive around with a gun in your pocket? And
Oh yeah, you can.
okay, so are you allowed to drive around with a sword?
I don't know if I've ever looked into that.
Because here in Canada, because we have plenty of Sikh and Punjab and the East Indian culture, very big in Canada. Like even when Trudeau was running for prime minister, like his rival is a Sikh man. Like it's a man who wears a turban from who's Indian descent. And so yeah, but they have swords. Like they
Yeah.
can go to their weddings or ceremonies or whatever, have a sword. Like
Yeah.
maybe they
Well,
can't.
the Sikhs believe that you have to be armed when you go to your religious ceremonies because you have to be ready to defend your freedom of religion at all costs. That's why
Yeah.
the sword is. I had some Sikh friends, and I always thought that was a very.
There's been stories on the news here where like a big wedding or a funeral or whatever, a big party, and a bunch of these people got together and had swords, and they got into fights. Like rival families got into like sword fights and arms, and people got sliced and diced, and that's not good.
Yeah, it's only in Western
don't want that
culture do we
happen.
not really think of the idea of like protecting your freedom of religion.
That's exactly what it is. It's a freedom of religion, and that's all it is. It has nothing to do with anything else.
And they come from a culture
that culture
very recently, whereas like a lot of us in West, like nobody except maybe Lack like takes a gun concealed to fucking church. But like if you're gonna put yourself in a situation where 99% of all of humanity believes that no one there is armed, that's a pretty good place to be fucking armed.
Yeah.
Like just like just out of common sense, But yeah, I know that's where the Sikh culture gets that. If you have to be armed when you go to their church.
Yeah.
Because they are
a wedding or whatever your ceremony.
Yeah,
is.
any kind of religious ceremony because they.
JT wants to know how old that bag of flour is now.
Oh, you know what? I'm way off on the.
We're going through it.
Hey JT, how old is that bag of flour now? It would be if I didn't probably make fry bread out of it. It's 4. Wow, I'm sorry, you guys. I missed a bunch of damn comments. I was just talking to. Sorry about that, you guys. In the chat, it wasn't scrolling for me. But yeah, it would be 4 right now. And like, yeah, that was like, I thought about that one day and I said, that's a different thing. We need to make sure. And like, I changed the way I did a lot of stuff because of.
All right.
Oh yeah, I changed the way I did. I thought, it's like, I try to carry a firearm for every child that I have on me. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of a thing. Like it's like we're not getting in a, there's no such thing as a friendly fight anyway. But like we're not getting in any kind of shoving, yelling, fucking match with my fucking kids around. Like we are fleeing the situation for our safety. And if all else fails, like we're fucking doing it, because there's no in between. And I was raised, a few times as I was a young kid. Like my father has taken me by the shoulder and put me behind him, and fucking shit got real fast.
Yeah.
And like that was just the way it fucking was.
Yeah, I've only ever fired a gun once, in Vegas, like a boys' trip to Vegas in my 30s, and we went to the gun. I think it was called the gun range or whatever. Like it was down right on the strip, so to speak, or a couple of miles off the strip, and it was like a buck around, and literally like, can I see your ID? And you're like, yeah, here it is. And they're like, okay, here's your gun, here's your bullets, and they take you in there and they put one hand on your back.
Yeah.
Just in case you're going to turn around and start shooting people, right? Like,
right.
Just insane. And yeah, biggest rush of my life, man.
Yeah.
But I've never done it. I've just did it that one day, like 15 minutes out of a day, spent $50 and fired 3 or 4 different types of, firearms. And it was cool, man. Got to bring home some paper targets and of Osama bin Laden and,
yeah. Zombies or whatever they're selling.
And a zombie. That was the other one.
A zombie, yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I don't feel like it's much of a political standpoint. I mean, there are bad people out there everywhere, and like people.
And Nevada, I believe, was a conceal and carry state or whatever, one of those states. Mm-hmm. So all the guys that worked at this gun store, while I was there, my first time there. So there's other customers there, and there's 3 or 5 guys working there, and they're all carrying, right? Like they all got obvious, guns on the outside of their clothes and everything like that.
Yeah,
and one guy came walking in with like a bag of like Subway sandwiches, and he's like, "All right, who had the cold cut?" And he's got like he went in the Subway with his gun, like that's allowed there. And the only place you weren't allowed were the casinos that had signs that said, you can't bring your gun in here, or a hamburger, or whatever you're not allowed to bring.
Yeah.
And Walmart and Target had signs on their stores that said you couldn't bring, guns in the store.
Right. Which has since been challenged by a lot of courts. Yeah, you generally, even because like I'm licensed, and there are some states now where you don't, if you're legally to own it, you can carry it. But that's a fairly new concept in most states. My generation has always been, you have to take the course, you have to have the license, and I still maintain mine just because it makes me feel better to have that. If anything was that, if you get pulled over for speeding, you say, hey, I have my thing, here's my license for it, I'm not just some guy, because it is a rig. It takes, you have to go to a class, you have to have a rigorous background check. And a lot of people don't fucking pass those checks, like it's regardless of what some people might say. Like it's not a fucking easy thing to do, But like when I worked in Arizona, it was one of the first places where they had the open carry, where you could carry it out, where you could see it and all that.
Well, that's not everywhere. That's like there, Nevada and Texas, and not a lot of places, right? Florida.
Yeah, there's a lot of places now.
Oh, there is, okay.
But 20 years ago, it was fairly limited. It was you can carry concealed with a permit or nothing. And then in Arizona, there was open carry, except for Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix is, which is like it's not a nice place, right? Like it's ran by criminals.
Or what a big city is.
Yeah, right. Like in the big cities, you can't carry guns, and the only people that have guns are the criminals, because all the law-abiding citizens don't want to break the law. So what's up, Motu Joneser? But so when I was in Arizona, like Maricopa County is a crime-ridden, it's fucking dangerous. But you go an hour and a half either direction out of the county where it's open carry, and you go into a 7-Eleven and there's 3 people in line, men, women, good-looking women and old dudes, and just every facet of life, right? And they're all open carry, right? And like you better believe that like nobody walks around in those fucking places robbing 7-Elevens or fucking gas stations, or like that shit don't fucking happen there, And like the other day, like America is gosh, I can't remember all these numbers, right? But like America is in the top 5 of gun violence in the world. But what's interesting is that if you remove the statistics from like the top 3 cities that are gun violence in America, which are all like where you're not allowed to carry a gun, right? The Chicagos and the LAs and the New Yorks. If you remove those numbers from the statistics, America immediately becomes like 98 out of the 140 countries that are in the fucking world. And it's like, and it's been proven time and time again, where people are allowed to defend themselves, there's mostly no need to, because the criminals know that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like G-Force. I've never been a proponent of open carry because I was always taught and trained like that's an invitation for the bad guy to say, "Hey, shoot me first." So it's always better to just nobody needs to know. And if God forbid the situation ever arises, you're able to take care of it and hopefully be able to remove yourself from the situation. Like first and foremost is always to remove yourself and your loved ones from the situation than having to engage. But
Way different here in Canada. Like, not everybody, not hardly anyone, has firearms in Canada. Like, the people do. Like, I'm not saying people don't, but
yeah, there's a lot of
it's not a big lifestyle thing here now as it was in the 17 and 1800s kind of thing.
yeah.
So here in Canada, like if you do have a firearm and you want to take it and you want to go to the gun range to fire it in practice, you actually have to contact the local police and let them know. Like you got to fill out forms that you are transporting this firearm from your house to 12 miles away to the firing arm to the place where you go practice targets, and
Yeah.
they got to approve it, and it's all tracked and monitored, and it's that's the way it is, man. And nobody has like concealed or like nobody like just law enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different in every state here, and there's even some counties of states that will have more stricter laws than the state itself.
Mm-hmm.
And like Arizona was one of the first places, like that I was ever in where I mean, their gun. I'm not gonna say gun crazy, but like their gun is a thing. And there was lawsuits and different stuff where businesses, whether it was the local Rick's Pancake House or whatever it was, they would have a sign that says no
Best
fire.
pancakes in town.
Right, best pancakes down. But they would have places that would have those signs. They'd say, no firearms allowed in our business. And it didn't take very long for at least the people in Arizona, and I know the Arizona Supreme Court sided with the gun owners, that in most places a business does not have the right to supersede your federal right of protecting yourself, right? If it's legal in the state, then a business can. And this is the fact in most states. There are some where the state government is against it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But places like Arizona and stuff, like you can put a sign up in your business that says no firearms in my store, but the business owner's right never will supersede your right as an American citizen to legally carry. And most people who nobody in their right mind goes in there packing where everybody can see. That's like I mean, that might be an old school idea now, but I was definitely trained and taught by those guys. Like, nobody needs to know, and as long as you're not like in this state and most states that have concealed weapons licenses, like you can't go in a bank, right? You're not supposed to go into a government building with your firearm, and you're not supposed to go into a bar, and you're not supposed to drink, right? And people who
Right.
follow the laws, they don't do that, and like there's only a few exceptions. Like if you go into a restaurant that has a bar, as long as you're sitting in the restaurant part and you're not drinking, you're still legally allowed to be carrying your gun. And like there's a lot of laws, and I'm not saying everybody necessarily follows that, but of course that's the difference between a law-abiding citizen doing things to the letter and a criminal, But it's I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm pro this or pro that or whatever, but I mean, I was raised in the wilderness, and that's the interesting thing about like having a tribal card and being native, especially in Alaska, right? Like you might have, like I had an uncle who was a felon and different things, and supposed to not have a gun. But when you meet a native in the woods who has a 30-30 rifle, the cops might arrest him and say, "Hey, you're a felon. You're not supposed to have a gun." And da 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 da. But when that shit goes to a judge, whose fucking career depends on the shit that he decides, like no native is ever told, "Oh, you can't carry a gun in the wilderness." You know, if they're in downtown, you know, trying to get a, you know, go into the bar and stuff, that's different. But like, there's plenty of times where federal agents, game wardens, they might come across you or your family who's native, who aren't legally supposed to own a gun, but they have one, but they're in the woods, you know, and like
Yeah.
they're that, and that might be like a uniquely Alaskan idea, you know, but you know, my grandfather, he had a native allotment that was in his family for a long time. A federal agent came to his land. This federal game warden was always harassing him, and he was harassing him. Um, the federal game wardens came to my granddad's cabin. Their boat had broke down, and they said, "We're going to take your boat because ours broke down. We're going to take your boat and go back, you know, to where we came from." And my grandfather told them, "You're going downriver. There's nothing wrong with your boat. You can float down there. You're not
Okay.
taking my fucking boat." And they said, "Well, you know," and they gave their speech and all this kind of shit. And he pulled his 410 shotgun on him and he said, "If you step off your boat onto my land, I will shoot you." And I knew the guy for many fucking years after this. He didn't know that that was my granddad. I was really young, and he probably didn't recognize. I wasn't there when it happened, but I was there very soon after it happened.
Okay.
Had to go get my grandfather. But so that guy stepped off the boat. My granddad shot him right in the leg with his 410 shotgun, and he's, you know, and he said, "You get out of here." And of course, like 3 days later, the state troopers showed up in airboats and helicopters, and they arrested my granddad, took him to jail. And when he went before the judge told him, "This is what happened. This is what I said." The federal agent, of course, said, "Well, yeah, you know, that's what happened." And the judge totally threw it out.
Is that right?
Totally threw it out. And said, "That's not, you know, you can't be doing that." Basically, you know, and that might be a uniquely Alaskan native
They
thing.
like slap him on the wrist.
Oh no, he was like, you know, 3 days in jail, you know, and I think he had to pay some sort of fine for destruction of the government property because some of the buckshot like hit the boat or some bullshit, you know. But you know, when it comes down to judges who know the law and know what public opinion will become of their ruling, a lot of that shit just gets, they say, "Oh, nope, don't worry about it," you know, because no judge was ever going to tell a native that he didn't have the right to do what he wanted in the woods on his land, especially like living subsistence. My grandfather lived subsistence all of his young life, and then only probably post World War II to maybe like the mid 80s, you know, he was like a part of society, had businesses, worked, did a lot of things. And then there was a certain point in his life where he said, "I'm done with this." And he went back to the wilderness, you know, and lived completely subsistence, you know, and, you know, and that's, I, for whatever reason, had serious fucking issues with society and the way things were. And I ran away every chance I got and lived with him until, and until, you know, people stopped coming and getting me, you know,
Okay.
until my parents were like, you know, maybe we ought to let the boy do what he wants to do, you know. And then after he passed away, I stayed out there by myself for quite a while. You know, I mean, I went almost a year without even seeing a person after my granddad passed away, and I stayed out there. And then ended up like slowly going to the village and like getting a job. I got a job swamping the, I don't even know if they call it that anymore, but I was the swamper at the bar. I'd clean the bar at the village. You know, like every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd fucking get up, I'd put on my cross country skis, and I'd fucking cross country ski like 7 miles into the village, clean the bar for 2.5 hours, drink some free coffee, pick my $25 a day I made. And I'd pick my $25 out from the fucking register, put it in my pocket, put my cross country ski boots back on and fucking ski back out to my fucking cabin, you know? Like, that's just the way we fucking did it, you know? And then, you know, like whatever, you meet a woman, and then, you know, I moved into the village and all that fucking shit happened and all that, you know, and that's what brought me out of the woods, but like I miss that fucking shit, man. It's like the salt of the earth kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And fucking like I get fucking, man, sometimes I feel like a fucking animal in a cage down here in America, in society. It fucking gets me, you know? It's like, I don't know what they call that, but you know, like the bear that was in the cage for so long, and then they let him loose, and he kept wandering around in a circle.
Where's my cage?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling that way now, man. As a
that's fucking. That's
a young man.
Yeah, that's the way it is, man. Mr. Fee, good to see you. I haven't been keeping up with the chat. I hope nobody's offended by that. I'm not the best at the chat, but I do leave the chat up longer than Vern. So it's a fucking bam, 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 bam.
You see, Vern added a disclaimer at the beginning of the show now.
No, I haven't seen. What
Basically, nothing on this show is associated with me, or I don't approve of everything, and so basically it's because of me.
Oh my gosh!
It's all in good. Well, I say it's all in good fun, but he's doing it, I guess, to legally protect himself in case I say like, kill all the white people or something silly like that.
When you and BC Sam Squatch get out your fake your fake Rolly with the, I remember.
Yeah,
that.
he didn't like that.
Well, and I
didn't think much of it. I'm just like,
no, of
we're
course.
adults, adulting.
Yeah. Well, hey, what's up, Bill?
What's going on, fellers?
Oh, not much. We're just bullshitting and this and that.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. And I will say real quick, Rick, that's the reason why Lack's not allowed on his channel. You ruined it for everybody, Rick.
It was me.
I mean, I assume.
No, I don't know.
I assume. I know when to not cuss and stuff like that. I can get on some.
I don't.
I do.
I'm Canadian, man. It's literally like the first word in the Canadian dictionary. It starts with an F.
No, I know. I mean, and I was raised like that too, and you know, this always makes you a little bit looser and thinking people are cooler, but some people are not.
It's just the way, like, if you met, you know, our Canadian moms and grandmas and aunts and female cousins, yeah, they cuss more than the men do.
Yeah. Well, I know Bill is from Mississippi, which a lot of my family is from there too, and like we got the same. They got the same thing going on there. You know, it's all in the tone and how you use it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know it's a big part of like the native tongue, you know, the Aboriginal language too. Like they swore lots too, right? But where do you think they learned that from?
Oh yeah.
They didn't learn that from their elders or their ancestors. They learned it from the white man.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Who kept calling them these names and these awful swear words and blame all the Europeans for all the cuss words.
I guess so. I know Bill is probably old enough to remember this, but you know, so I remember the old guys, like you would maybe use the word motherfucker for all different kinds of, you know, if you hit your hand with a hammer or different stuff like that. But when somebody said motherfuck, that was like a whole different, that was when like shit would hit the fan, you know? And I haven't heard that for years, but like I remember the old guys.
I can remember that when you enunciated the words correctly, instead of saying motherfucker or something, motherfucker, if they said motherfucker, they meant shit then. When they enunciated and said it completely out like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah,
I grew up watching Kevin Smith films too, so
yeah. I always remember, like I said, I remember when you heard motherfuck, then there was fists were coming pretty quick after that. That was like the key to You know, and there's a lot. Nobody says anymore that my dad is a big proponent of is cocksucker. You don't hear anybody say that anymore. Am I right?
Well, 'cause
I
now-
can remember. I call him my brother, and he really is. And I called his family mom and dad when I was growing up because of that. We just grew up together. His dad was one of those that used the word cocksucker all the time. And I can't remember we was in the second or third grade. My buddy came to school, cocksucker this and cocksucker that, and got caught by the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing damn well he didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
Well, now you
And had to
can't
be-
say it because people are actually cocksuckers now. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I think they were
you
back
might
then
offend
too.
somebody, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I think-
they were back then too, but they wasn't like out all in the open
Exactly. Yeah,
like
you know what I mean. Like, it wasn't
Right. Yeah, no,
obvious.
that was always like I say it, but it's serious, you know. But like, yeah, that's one of my dad always, when my dad was really mad and like fighting was about to happen, he would tell me if you ever heard this one. My dad is from Faraday, Louisiana, Bill. So I always kind of think like, and he's like 80 something, you know, he's old, he's pretty old. But I've heard him say a few times, he'd say, father stabber, mother raper. And I still, to this day, I was like, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that but my dad, but I know he got that from somewhere, you know?
Well, that's the old use different words to mean the same thing so the little ears don't get burned off by them.
Man, when I've heard him say that a couple times and like there was blood, you know, there was ambulances called and there was blood. That was like serious. That's when you knew, you know, but yeah, I laugh about that kind of stuff all the time. I was talking to one of our Australian, I think it was Zombie Hunter, and I said, crikey. And he said, oh, we don't say that anymore, you know? And I thought, why don't you say that anymore? But he was talking about how that's like an older generational thing that nobody says anymore. And I thought, well, that's kind of, you know, if we were all card carrying natives, that would be a loss of culture, you know, which is like a serious thing. But
Yeah,
I just think that
right.
My dad did not have a racist hair in his body, but he knew all the words. Like, he knew every derogatory word or you know, slander, whatever you might call it, just bad words for all the different types of people. And it's weird 'cause you don't hear them now, like in any shape or form, like not even in like rap songs. Like, you don't hear the bad words anymore. Like, things have become a lot more politically correct, if that's, you know, a good thing or not. But you
right.
you
If that's an actual, yeah.
calling people all these names all the time. And when you do, you're surprised and you usually step in. Like, in my 20s, me and some guys were downtown after the nightclubs, and across the street we saw these younger skateboarding dudes call these racist names to this lady walking her baby. Like, late at night, ladies shouldn't be walking her babies, but these 3 or 4 kids, I think there's 4 kids and a girl, they were all just saying all these bad words to this lady, and we're like, you can't do that, man. So we went across the street and we, you know, I guess we assaulted them in some way, like we kicked their asses, and then the police came and made us stop kicking our asses. So that's literally what happened, and it was just because we heard these guys. They were younger than us too. They're 5 years younger than us. We were like in our 20s. They were like late teens, but they were saying stuff that you just can't say. Like,
Right.
whatever the
Well,
reason
a lot
was
of
they're
that,
doing it.
a lot of that has to do with the person it's directed to, right? You know, like if anybody
sure.
sees anybody,
Well, my buddy said,
female,
"Why don't you say that to me?"
right?
And that's how it started, and we crossed the
If
street.
there was 2 grown men going back and forth calling each other whatever they were, you might not have. You may
Exactly.
not have. You might have just watched, right? You know. But if it's
Front row seats.
yeah, front row seats. But yeah, if it's something that's more victimizing like that, then I guess we lost Bill. I don't know what happened. I hope he probably didn't like our
Yeah.
Bill just got congratulations to Bill on his 1,000 subs. He probably just thought, "Oh my gosh, I don't need to be
Hey,
involved in this
I
kind
just
of."
lost 4 subs.
Oh my god, yeah, but I mean, to speak the truth about how things were and to how it is now, like that's not a negative thing, and like
I agree.
only from remembering the past can we change stuff. You know what I mean? And like when I was young, and I've said this on maybe another stream, but like when I was young, raised by my Inuit Eskimo grandfather and my Athabascan Indian grandmother, native was not a term that people liked.
Mhm.
Native was a bad word. If you said, "Oh, this is my friend," however the context would be, but a lot of the older natives did not want to be called native because it grouped them together with other people
Yeah,
and it
different
made them
tribes and
one. Yeah, it took away from um their individuality,
of course, I get it. I do get it. Like
and
maybe we didn't get it when we were kids, but I mean, you would have got it more than me as a kid because you would have known people from several different tribes or different cultures like that. Like I grew up very multicultural. Don't get me wrong. Like in Ontario and British Columbia, growing up, like I grew up with every race of people known to man, and still do. Like I'm in the most multicultural city on the planet. Like you can't. No one can argue with me about that living here in Vancouver.
Mhm.
Like all the major cities in North America have like, you know, Chinatown or Little Italy or, different communities that tend to support, these communities, these cultures. And we have that too. Like we got a huge Chinatown. We got a huge, like, India town where the streets for blocks and blocks are just all businesses owned by,
Mhm.
you know, Punjabi and Sikh people and all their culture. And same with where I live, just downstairs, there's a mall and it's all Korean. Like every store is run by Koreans and it's Korean food and Korean clothes. And
Yeah.
this week
Well,
is
and that used to
the
be.
lunar moon festival, like that they're celebrating in the mall.
Yeah. And the celebration of diversity and being able to be in a place where you could learn different cultures without, buying a plane ticket and go like when
Of
I was
course, yeah.
younger, that was what the beauty of our country was about, you know. And living in Alaska, I'll tell you what, and my grandfather told me this, he said being native, being indigenous is not about your blood or the quantum in your blood. It's about a frame of mind.
Mm.
And, in Alaska, to me, is one of the most inclusive places I've ever been. And, there was no one ever guarding their culture. It was like a very open thing, and we have maybe not so much, nowadays there's a lot more like Asian influence and different things like that, but Alaska's always been full of people not from there, but so many of those cultures, whether it wasn't maybe necessarily all the Russians, but after the Russians there was like a lot of Swedes that came for the logging, and there was a lot of Germans because they like to grow stuff, right? Alaska has great soil. Like there was always an implement of cross pollinating the cultures, And like in the village where I'm from, I was talking to somebody, and like I don't want to be mean, but like I find people that want to talk about this, and different indigenous cultures and stuff, and I realize they are what my grandfather would call like a concrete Indian, that
Like from a city kind of thing, right?
yeah, they have the card and they, get the check every month and the free blankets, but they really don't know what it means to live it, And in Alaska, there's just like it's not about where you came from, it's about what you're gonna do now. Everyone has like a free, fresh start.
I got a
When you-
question, like,
Yes,
just out
sir.
of curiosity.
Yes, sir.
Oh, freezing up.
Are you still in Alaska right now, or are you down here in the lower 48?
I am in the south of America right now. I am in the south of America right now. I just had a wonderful week with my cubs. My kids and their mom, they live
Okay.
here in this area, and that's what keeps me
I was
rooted.
just curious as to whether you had made your abode up there where your job was. I don't know if you're going back up there to do that again this year or not.
I'm going back as soon as they call me, and if they don't call me back for that job, I will find another avenue to do so. You know, even if it's like getting some battery packs and going up there for a while and just making videos in the wilderness. You know, just to do it. You know, but hopefully come. You know, probably Christmas time. That's when the job opportunity for what I do really kicks off, because
Well,
no one wants to do it.
I hate to run. But I'm taxing my system.
Oh no, that's understandable. I really appreciate you coming by, my friend.
Yeah. I'm sorry to have to run. I'm taxing my system to its limits here, trying to run 3 or 4 different streaming services at the same time. But I've got a show that's going to start here in about 30 minutes, and I've got
Okay.
a guest who hosts over here in the other, and so I've got OBS running, which is why I keep spinning out on you guys, and I can't half hear what you guys are saying. So I'm going to have to bow out. But I thought I would just come in and say, hey, because I saw Gilly post the link there.
Well, I'm glad that you saw it. Congratulations on
we'll see
1,000.
you guys tonight on Up All Night. Hopefully, we've got some new developments and
Sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll probably shut down here.
It happened yesterday. So
Okay.
thank you to all the supporters, and you guys make sure that you support all of our channels that are together like this, and all of them. We'll see you later.
Good to see you, Bill.
Good
Congratulations.
to meet you,
on the
Rick.
1,000.
I've got to run, so I got to go, man.
Yeah, congrats on 1,000 subs, Bill.
Yeah, great job.
OBS.
Yeah, I don't know. He's far advanced on those things. I don't know about a lot of it. I just do the free StreamYard, and whatever happens.
Well, the OBS, that's the thing about OBS. Like it's a type of software.
Mm-hmm.
There is a learning curve to it, but it's all open source, which means it's all 100% free. So
Right.
You're free to add your own things to it. Like, you know, you can put rainbows around everyone's hair, you know, whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
It's
well, Bill
it's good
has
for the graphics and stuff like that.
Bill has a great channel. He's usually live every Friday night, Up All Night. His co-host Motu Joneser is an exceptionally awesome human being. So everyone, you know, go over there, subscribe to Bill. He's recently hit the 1,000. So congratulations. David, our friend David, will be live streaming on Sunday. I imagine that will be I assume, which is of course making an ass out of me and everyone else, but that might be a church. David does some great streams from his church, and they sing some really great old-timey gospel music, you know, Appalachian mountain gospel tunes, which, like, man, I just love that. I mean, like, man, you want to see a grown man cry? Come watch David's Sunday stream, man. It's very powerful. So yeah. But yeah, Bill will be on in 30 minutes, and I'm sure most people will be there. I may not be able to make it for the whole thing because I have some attentions I need to tend to with the missus. If we have an accident, we'll name it after one of y'all. But she just went, oh my gosh. But yeah, Bill's a cool cat, man. And Motu Joneser, who's his regular co-host, also has a channel. And Motu Joneser has an excellent channel too. And Joneser, just to say, he is one of the few Dick Tracy lovers in our community.
Okay.
And so me and Jones we always get to talk about not just like the Warren Beatty, 90s film, but like, the 30s serials and the original Gould comics and stuff, like very eclectic gentleman. But Bill has you should check it out sometime, Rick, when you get a chance. He does music and fun. He makes music videos. He does stop motion music videos with like his Masters of the Universe figures.
Oh, I watch Bill's videos all the time.
Yeah, man. Bill's fucking fun times. Bill is fun times.
And we got on Oakhurst Vern's channel tomorrow. We got the Toy Duo where we're gonna talk about all the stuff that Hasbro revealed today at their Hasbro PulseCon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I missed that. I was talking to Gary on the phone, and he said, "Did you see the Hasbro?" And I said, "No, I was working in the yard and doing shit." I said, "But I'll probably catch it on Vern or who,
Yeah, they revealed, some Star Wars, some GI Joe, some Transformers, and what else? Marvel Legends. So, a little bit of cool stuff to pick through and all the things. So.
Yeah. That's one of my, like, the hot or not section, and I've said this to probably everybody I know, right? But the hot or not section of Vern's stream is one of my most favorite. Bill does it sometimes too. He calls it window shopping,
Yeah.
But like as a customizer and stuff like that, like I really get a lot of enjoyment of somebody being on top of what's coming out and what's new, and you get to see a lot of new shit. You might not see it in your fucking store, and if you're here, you might not ever fucking see it ever. You might not ever fucking see it for real. But Dylan, what's up, natives? Now this guy knows how to use a sewing machine. This guy is the primo.
Yeah, my favorite part of the Toy Duo is the little game Vern likes to play at the end where you go, okay, you got 30 seconds to name as many cowboy TV shows as you can.
Oh, yeah.
And we usually come up with like one or two because you're put on the spot. And then my least favorite part is when he mutes me or edits me out of the video the next day because I said something silly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it's all fun.
Yeah, it's something about being put on the spot, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a few times I watch that game and I say, man, you guys are lucky I'm not playing because I would smoke you turkeys.
But it's not like we know the question beforehand, so we can't like prepare and think, okay, I remember these 10 movies, or you're on a spot, you got 30 seconds, and then in 30 seconds, there's a lot of things you can't think of.
Well, I would do. Gilster was on Stu's movie chat and did fairly well. Didn't make it to the end, but again, it's about being put on the spot. But
Papa Gord won that because Bob was busy working that weekend, so he didn't get to participate.
Yeah,
and he had been like undefeated as well. But Papa Gord did Canada proud and brought home the
Bob
trivia challenge
smoked him.
of movies that most people have never watched. Movie challenge.
Yeah, I have to say. I could probably do a movie trivia that no one would get, but I'm real deep into the shit that nobody, watches anymore. Your dad or your grandpa might get some some answers right, but
really would. I think I got I think I got 2 questions right on Stu's game show when I played. It was all like,
oh, you were on it? I missed that.
What was Mary Poppins' son-in-laws, like just names? I'm like, what movies and categories that I wasn't weren't in my watch list.
Yeah, I don't always get to catch Stu because I usually have the Cubs on the weekend, and a lot of us in the community, everybody's working and stuff, so the weekend is like the big time where people are dropping videos and people doing live streams, and I miss quite a lot of them now just because I'm spending time with the family and doing.
Okay, it'll always be on the internet.
Yeah, I always catch the rewatch, and I always, go on there and say Team Replay. Same thing with like Shabby and the Boys, or Tub Thumpers or whatever. I don't always get to catch them live anymore, but entertainment is.
Even Brett does his Friday streams like 2:00 or something like my time, and I'm usually I am doing stuff like. I do work from home, but I mean, during the daytime hours, I'm usually not available to be watching people
Yeah.
do YouTube streams Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is,
Yeah, it is what it is, and it's But I think everybody. We have some plans tomorrow. If I don't catch Vern, I will watch the replay. I haven't been able to be there for quite a long time, and but the community is fuck, man. Like after leaving Alaska, I'm like, man, everybody I know is fucking dead. You know what I mean? Like I know that you know how that is, Rick. It's just like there's just.
What do you mean? I'm only 29.
Well, yeah, but hard living in Canada, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, we age differently. Yeah.
age is fucking age rough. but no, the community is where it's at. I was just talking to Gary, and he said, "Oh, well, what you're gonna do? What's the plan this weekend or whatever?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna try to go to this new comic shop. There's a new Dick Tracy comic that Motu Jones told me about, a
Okay.
new one." And I said, "But the few comic shops I've been to, I have not seen it. I mean, it's probably just not in vogue enough, for a lot of people to carry it." And Gary immediately he was like, "Man, I'm going to go see my buddy, tomorrow or the next day. I will see if they have it."
Okay.
And it's just like and Geek Strong's the same way. Geek Strong, Dino, he sent me this Batman, and I'd seen it in one of his toy hunts or something. And
I am getting concerned about Geek Strong though with all the popcorn buckets.
the popcorns.
All the
Yeah,
popcorn he's been eating.
we might have to have a popcorn intervention, huh?
I think so. And cereal, because he likes to buy all the cereal boxes too. So
Put the
got a
popcorn
warehouse.
down,
get a warehouse somewhere full of popcorn and cereal.
man.
Because he's not eating it all. Like he's
Well,
like the fit man.
he's probably feeding the popcorn to the ducks.
Yep. Maybe that will kill him. I don't know.
I don't know. Probably
I
not.
don't think you can feed popcorn to any animals. I don't. But I don't. What do
Really?
I know?
I really don't know.
Unless
I'm
maybe
sure.
a horse or something.
I really don't know. I know that you can't give popcorns to young children.
And cats and dogs, they'll choke on it and shit.
Oh, really?
Like chicken bones. Like they can.
Oh,
break
yeah,
that
chicken
shit down.
bones.
It'll turn sideways in their throat and like.
Yeah. Well, the chicken bones, I always heard they're they're hollow and they'll splinter.
Yeah, but
They can stab you in the neck or something.
But 100 years ago, us humans, we would just ate the chicken bones. Like it wasn't
Right. Well,
something we picked off.
And I've had plenty of relatives, in the village who have given that they'll give their dog a chicken carcass. But I think that's probably if you give it to them as a pup, then they probably know how to do it or something. I really don't know.
Yeah, a good point.
I don't really know because I know I've been like a young kid and seen somebody throw the chicken carcass to the dog and go, "Oh, I thought you're not supposed to do that,"
Well, we used to go to the pub every week and buy 25-cent chicken wings or whatever at the pubs, right? And I knew a couple of guys they ate they ate the bone, they ate the whole chicken wing. You got the little drumette part and you got the little wing part. They're tiny little fucking wings, right? But they would literally just eat them.
Oh my
Not
God.
suck the meat off the bone and throw the bone on a plate like all of us civilized people. They would be eating the bones, and we're just like, oh my God, man.
Yeah, see where I'm from, you would eat everything off the bone, but then you would crack the bones and use them for soup or something. What about the people who eat the shrimp tail?
Ew.
Yeah, that's kind of nasty.
That's weird. My first wife's daughter did that. And I'd never seen anybody actually do it except for John Belushi and the Blues Brothers.
I've done it accidentally.
Oh, that seems like a scary.
Not the whole some of the scales are still left on it. That happens.
Right. Yeah, the scale, but the tail with the little.
Yeah, I don't even like it when they still got their poop shoot in them.
Oh yeah, see,
I want them filleted.
That don't bother me at all.
Doesn't.
What do they call that? Veining? You're supposed to vein them.
Yeah, it's it's their poop shoot. It's literally all that's all they got is.
Yeah, but
their only organ is their butthole.
There's that good, real red fat that's right next to it, though, and if you vein them, you lose that too.
Oh well.
Yeah, But man, when I grew up eating like moose nose and moose eyeballs and pickled beaver feet, and we have a thing called bung gut, which is like the last 8 inches of the intestines before the asshole. And
Yummy.
like, dude, the old people would fucking fight over that shit. Like that was like a fucking big deal, man.
I remember a Scottish girlfriend I had growing up, and going to her parents, and they get the haggis out at Christmas time and stuff, and yeah, I never ever ate it, and
Oh, yeah.
they gave me shit and stuff, but I'm like, it's not happening, man. I'm not
Mm.
eating stuff that's literally stuck in their asshole when they're slaughtered, or however they make it. It's not for me. I'll pass.
Not for me. there's
I'm not
there's
Scottish.
there's a in like my grandfather's people, and it's not just Inupiaq, but most all the Eskimo tribes, which is, at least when I was younger, not a derogatory word. They traditionally they'd cut a walrus's head off, and they would wrap it in certain types of lichen, and then they would bury it like a balut, like 100-year-old egg. And they would make like a cheese out of it. Well, whatever they'd call it, but it was rotten. And like only a few times when I was a kid did I eat it, because it was just something that like people started not making anymore, right? And there were these young kids. They were older than me, but they were still young, and they thought they were going to make it. So they had this walrus head, and they wrapped it in like black garbage bags, and they buried it for a year, and they dug it up, and everybody who ate it fucking died from whatever kind of food, right? And it was because nobody, like the plastic bag doesn't let it breathe correctly and all that kind of stuff. And like they fucking killed like 40% of the whole fucking village.
Jesus, Murphy.
It was fucking crazy, man. But like, you have to wrap it in this certain, and I'm sure that there's chemical compounds even in the lichen, you never know what can be, nitrates in the soil but yeah, they just put this fucking head in a plastic bag and buried it, and fucking killed almost everybody, killed almost every fucking body, it's like,
that's why they don't do that no more.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you remember that Into the Wild guy, Chris, whatever.
Yeah.
So he died from eating what he thought was Alaskan wild potatoes, right? And he had a book that was, of course, in black and white, because all the old plant books were like sketches,
Drawings, yeah.
And and I can't remember the other name, but so there's two plants. One is a wild potato, and it identically to it is this other thing that will kill you, right?
The death potato.
Yeah, and so he thought he was eating the potato, and he didn't. He ate the wrong one, and he fucking died. And so like I was raised, we ate all kinds of stuff. We ate mushrooms and lichen and different stuff, and I had never been taught about that potato. Like I'd never even heard about that. And so my grandfather and all his friends, who were fucking old and was born in the time and in the areas where there was not white people, right? Like my granddad remembers like the first black guy he saw, and remembers the first boat motor, and fucking these guys lived out in the middle of nowhere. And I asked him, I said, how did the old people know the difference between these? And every one of those old natives told me, nobody knows the difference. You don't eat that. And so it was like never ever a traditional indigenous food, and if it was eons before, people that were 100 when I was 6 ever knew about. Nobody ever ate that. Nobody ever fucking ate that,
Because it tastes like crap.
Holy smoke, they just knew it, They were like, nobody can tell the difference until you eat it and you realize you ate the wrong one, so we don't fucking eat that. And I go, makes perfect fucking sense,
Good rule. Good rule.
Don't eat it. And like that bus that he died in, we used to go moose hunt and we stayed in that fucking bus all the time.
So yeah, I saw a documentary recently that people still go on that trek, right? But they moved the bus somewhere that's more I don't know. If
Yeah,
it's
I think
easier to
they've
get
moved
to,
the.
or
Yeah, it's like on the side of the road by a roadhouse or something now.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that bus had been there forever, and everybody, like, man, ever since I was a little kid, if you went out that way, like, most of the time, everybody would stop at the bus to like drink a beer.
yeah,
And, you know, there was like always a corner of the table that was like really clean, you know,
wherever
from
they put their
from
beers.
generations of people like wiping the dust off of it and then like doing whatever the fuck they're doing, you know, or worse, you know, like every cabin you go into, there's like a fucking mirror on the table. You're like, what's this one? What is this? And there's always a part of it that's like it's all thick dust, lint everywhere, and then there's like one part, the corner that's just fucking
Clean,
like
shiny.
perfectly shiny fucking spot. It's just fucking, and it was fucking wild back then, man. You know, but the fucking, I don't know. Even the village where I'm from is like it's just. Even the last time I went back, like, man, the old people are dying. We used to fucking like when we'd have potlatch, people pass away. It was a big fucking deal, man. And like when I was younger, I started off cutting a lot of moose meat because everybody has like their jobs, right? Because a potlatch, you know, there could be thousands of people coming from all over the country. Like it's a big deal to go to somebody's. You know, it's not like in Western, you know, white society where people are like, well, I'm not going to be able to make the funeral. Like, man, up there, people make the funeral, right? And there might be thousands of people. Like my granddad's potlatch, there was probably like 5,000 people that showed up, and everybody had to have a place to stay. And we shot like 17 moose, and you know, we'd have these giant pots of moose soup, and you'd be cooking all the time, you know. But there was when I got older, I became in charge of digging the graves, and that was my job. You know, when I got old enough to be in charge of stuff, and there was a group of guys that built the coffin. There were guys that would go hunt, and there were meat cutters, and then the women would line the coffin after it was built, you know, with silk and padding and stuff. But I was always in charge of digging the grave and taking care of the body, right? So like the body would come back from the what are those guys called? Embalmers. And you'd get the body back, and it'd be in a cardboard box, you know, and your loved one would be in a cardboard box, naked, and we would always take the body out, dress them in traditional dress, get them in the coffin. We'd lay them in the church overnight, and usually by then we'd always have the grave dug. But like that was always my job, and you would go around. You'd go to all the local stores, which wasn't very many, and you'd go to the local bars and you'd say, hey, I'm getting the grave diggers. You know, what do you have to donate? And the bar would always come out with a fucking pallet of beer and put it in your truck. And the store would give you cartons of fucking cigarettes, you know, and the store would fucking like, you know, you'd say, hey, we need a new shovel, da 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 da. And everybody would provide you what you need. And then you'd go around town and, you know, you'd pull up and say, hey, Rick, we got to go dig the grave for so-and-so, you know, and you'd say, oh, okay, you betcha, you know, and, you know, depending on what time of year it was and different stuff, you know, it'd be like a 3-4 day deal. And, but it was all harmonious and it was a big deal. And like now, it wasn't that long ago, somebody I know passed away. And one of the local bigwigs, you know, they told me, they said, we went up there, we had the service, and we went up there, and there was no grave dug.
Oh wow!
And it was just like this huge, like, spear in my heart, you know. And it's like the old people are gone, and I never thought of myself as it, but even at like 27, like I was one of the old people, and I would go around. I'd go to the boarding school, you know, where there was high school kids or whatever on the weekend, which I worked at the school, so I knew them all. And they were all traditional indigenous people from further away, so they knew what time it was. You know, they knew what was going on. And I'd say, hey, you boys, you know, we need to go dig the grave, or we need to go pack this wood. But all of that it's just falling apart, you know? And it's like we went to a funeral, me and my wife went to a funeral here not long ago with some of my extended family that are from here that's never been Alaskan or anything like that. And they come to they have the service, and then they go to the graveyard and they say a few words, and then everybody left. And then these people who work at the cemetery come out there with a backhoe, and push the dirt in. And I'm like the only person left, and I had to stop them. Even one of my own grandmothers and one of my uncles. I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" I said, "What's going on here?" I said, "That's not how it's done." And then like Lack is out there with his few little cousins who wanted to do what Lack was doing in our suits, and we did it right. When it's supposed to be done with care and love, but you see a lot of this society today is just, it's a lot about them and it's not about the person, and it's just kind of a sad, I had a relative recently who I love to death. They're one of my favorite people on the earth. And they said, well, I'm not even going to have a funeral. And I had to tell them, I said, a funeral doesn't have anything to do with you. You're gone. It's for the rest of us, and like how, basically like, how dare you remove that from those of us you leave behind, to be able to do that. But that's a big part of the culture up there. There's no sadness. It's work, There's no time to cry because there's so much work to do. And you put all of that energy into whatever your job is, cutting the wood, cooking the soup, building the coffin, digging the grave, and like, there's just a lot of spiritual disconnect. And it's just like modern society, regardless of all this new age stuff that people blame, they blame this, that, and the other that's a newer idea on the downfall. But like, that's not, there's things that happened years ago that started years ago, generations before us, where that all slowly started disappearing, And now you have people who say, well, I'm not even going to have a funeral, And you go, that's, that's like that's really not your call, Where I'm from, it's like you hope the one thing that you have when you die, right? The one thing you have when you die is the stories that your friends tell their kids.
Oh, exactly, man.
Right? Like, that's what you have to live your life for. And like, you can expand that into being a good person or have it being like Christian values or whatever other things you want to put on it, But it all comes down to what are they going to say and how do they feel about you when you're fucking gone.
Very true.
And like, that's the important shit. I don't know how I got off on that. Probably this half a bottle of shit.
That could be it.
But anyway, Rick, you're a beautiful person, and I'm proud to know you and call you my friend.
Appreciate it, buddy. It's the same right back with you.
I appreciate it.
Enjoy your weekend with the family and
yeah. I will.
Summer as summer winds down.
Man, I'm ready for the cold weather. I'm not built for this shit.
Gotta go unpack my pants then.
Yeah.
I've been in shorts every day for a long time.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, it's still summer here, man, for at least another month, I think.
I only wear shorts like at the beach. I'm not from that generation.
The less clothes, the better, I always say.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's the Bob Rum mentality, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, buddy, maybe we'll chat over the weekend. We'll see you on someone's stream.
Yeah. If I get a chance, I'll be there. If I'm not there, make sure you slip my name in like you've been doing.
I try to.
I know you do. I get a tickle out of that every time.
And I don't get in trouble for it, so that's a good thing.
Well, and that makes me feel good.
I do get in trouble for slipping other people's names in that I'm not allowed to. So.
Oh, really? Well, as long as I'm not on the list of not allowed to mention.
You're not. It's a short list.
Well, I'm glad I'm not on it because
there is a list.
Wow. Well, I try not to be on anybody's list except, hey, this is a cool motherfucker.
Yeah. It's the Santa Claus good boy list. That's the list.
I try to be. That's all you got, That's what counts. Yeah. So anyway.
And cheers to everybody in the chat. Thanks
to everybody in the chat. Oh, look, balloons now.
More balloons for everybody.
Man, my phone does weird shit. It's so Anyway, Rick, I hope you have a live soon too, my friend. I miss your lives.
Well, I'll be back soon, man.
Yeah, those are always super fun. Super fun.
Ducks in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's not. I'm the only one who, like, I was like, fuck it, I don't want to waste my buzz. Let's go live.
No, it's good. I'm glad he did.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad that. Hey, I'm always just shocked. Like right now, like there's 10 people in the chat, and I just think, wow, who in the world would give a shit about what Whack is doing? But so it's humbling, and I'm grateful for it.
Have a great weekend, buddy.
All right, you too, man. Take care.
Cheers, all.
All right, everyone. Pod Racing Palps, we're just about to end it, but I want to say hello. Thank you to Gilster, JT, Dylan. I'll go through the G-Force. I know you took off. I hope I at least was able to give you a thumbs up. And everybody, I know Mary was there. Thank you to Bill for coming in. Our friend David. Hopefully I'll be able to catch one of your streams. Our best mod in the universe, the cyborg Rolando. What's up, natives? My cholesterol. I'll go through the chat and make sure just to Mr. Fee. Everybody go check out Masters Mike Universe. Has a very cool channel. Of course, Blue Sasquatch. Is this live? He says cocksucker with a French accent, which is probably the only appropriate way to say it in today's world. Everyone check out Motu Joneser. My Dick Tracy friend. JT, thank you to you, sir. I'm just scrolling up again, thanks to Bill. Darth Wizzy Wiz, the most dangerous man in Canada. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure that everybody go, Darth Wizzy Wiz, he's the king of the craptastic reviews, but man, he has great reviews. Candid, like to the point, pulls no punches. Darth Wizzy Wiz has a great fucking channel. So make sure y'all go check him out. I have scrolled to the top of the chat that it lets me, but I know there was more people here. Sir John from the hey, Darth Wizzy, I'm glad you're still here. Sir John from Figuratively Speaking, he's been doing quite a bit of wrestling on his channel lately, which is very fun. We'll all have to get together and do like an old school wrestling. Because a lot of, the wrestlers I like are like 25 years older than all the ones everybody else is fucking talking about, So I don't know. I'm not in the same generation as you guys. But anyway, I think Bill, what time is it?
10.
It is 10 o'clock. I know Bill is on. So everybody go check out Bill. Kat may be. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to make a balut? Doesn't that take time? I don't know. I've had one balut. I went to Thailand one time, spent a couple months there. I was like 16 or whatever. My dad did like a Southeast Asia tour. He was in Vietnam and he wanted to go back. And so we went to like Burma and Thailand and wherever the fuck else we went. But like too young to take to Thailand. I got in a lot of fucking trouble, but it was fun. And I didn't get stolen and sold into like, fucking slavery or whatever. So it was all right. Holy shit. I ate dog when I was there. There was this pen of cute little German shepherds. And I was over there looking at them. And this guy came up and talked and he pointed at one. And I thought, oh, this nice guy's going to buy this dog. And then the guy pulled the puppy out of the thing and whacked it into the fucking table and skinned it and fucking skewered it and fucking cooked it. And we all had German Shepherd puppy. It wasn't the greatest thing I ever had, but it wasn't the fucking worst thing I ever had either. So, Filipino balut only takes time for the duck. Yeah. I love duck, but you know what? Duck eggs are not my favorite. I used to try to eat them all the time. And, wild duck eggs. And, my uncle used to always shoot the female ducks when they were laying on their nest when the eggs weren't dropped yet, right? And his favorite food was the egg in the mama duck's stomach before it had a shell around it. And like it is strong. And I didn't care for it. But what's a good egg is a seagull egg. Me and my good friend Tony Jensen, who I've told some stories about, I think. Me and him used to go seagull egging every year. And the seagull is a pretty fucking good egg. It's a lot like a chicken egg. It's very mild, has a much more yellow than orange yolk. Anyway, we're just fucking talking about shit now, aren't we? I don't even know. Anyway, go check out Bill. If I don't make it, make sure Bill knows that he's my good friend and I love him. I got some family things to do here. But anyway, happy Friday night. And I appreciate everybody coming. We will do it again. Kat may be on. I don't have a confirmation of that. But Only Vader's Girl, our lovely friend Kat, my sister, will be maybe on. I'm sure she'll be on this weekend. So yeah, Bill, Kat, I think that might be all that's going on this evening. So we'll look for you guys next time, all right? So I have been General Lax Sivrak. I will continue to be. And as always, I will see you, boom, on Down the Trail, all right? Love you guys. Get a hold of me on Instagram. Drop some comments in the YouTube. Whatever you need, I'll do my best to give y'all a hand. So fucking let me know. All right. Love you, cats. Bye.